Chapter 274. Toru Watanabe took a sip of tea and looked through the floor-to-ceiling window at the floating clouds in the sky. His hearing was excellent, and he could vaguely hear the sirens of the cruise ships in Tokyo Bay. "Last time, your mother Kujo slept here and told me that you were good at chess?" He retracted his gaze and looked at Mrs. Kiyono with delicate short hair in front of him. She looked about 25 or 26 years old. "Let's play a game?" Toru Watanabe suggested with a smile. Mrs. Kiyono's thin lips smiled. She put down the teacup and turned to the servant next to her. "Go get the chess pieces." "Yes." The servant's footsteps were covered by the sound of the fluttering curtains. After a while, the servant came back with the chessboard. In front of the floor-to-ceiling window overlooking Tokyo Bay, Toru Watanabe and Mrs. Kiyono each had a single sofa. There was a table in the middle with chess pieces on it. Mrs. Kiyono, who looked as innocent as a young girl, was aggressive when she played chess. Rin Kiyono came halfway. She refused the servant's offer of a chair and stood behind her mother. She put her hand on her chin and looked at the chessboard thoughtfully. The chess game was tense. Toru Watanabe, who was free, looked at Rin Kiyono on May 28th. She was wearing jeans and a light beige long-sleeved shirt. She didn't show any skin, but she still made people's hearts sway. Especially the blue jeans, the curves of her hips were beautiful, and her legs were long and slender. She was beautiful beyond words. Toru Watanabe looked away from her body. If he continued to look, he would be discovered. Perhaps he had already been discovered. She had always been very indulgent of Toru Watanabe looking at her legs. She rarely said anything about it to him. Toru Watanabe walked over and looked at Mrs. Kiyono. He found that the mother and daughter had the same thoughtful expression. The light passed through the floor-to-ceiling window and shone on the white chess pieces. Before Mrs. Kiyono could move her chess piece, Miki Kujo and her mother arrived. "I've already asked someone to move the luggage into the car. Let's go," Mrs. Kujo said as she walked in. When he got closer and saw the chessboard, he said, "Oh," and put his hand on Toru Watanabe's shoulder to look at it. Miki Kujo glanced at her mother's hand and stood on the other side of Toru Watanabe with her arms crossed. After a while, Mrs. Sano finally let out a sigh. "I lost." Her voice was filled with exhaustion after using all her strength. "Kuin Watanabe, you are indeed very powerful." "You are also very powerful." Toru Watanabe played with the white queen in his hand and said with a smile, "Even if it was me, it would be very difficult to beat you." "You are very confident." Mrs. Kujo patted him on the shoulder. "Not at all. I just can't help but show off when I beat the beauty," Toru Watanabe said. "Beauty." Mrs. Kiyono covered her mouth and laughed. Rin Kiyono came back to his senses and looked at Toru Watanabe. "Do you usually lose to me on purpose?" "That is a sign of my maturity." Toru Watanabe put down the chess piece. "Do you also lose to me on purpose?" Miki Kujo's warm little hand stroked his neck. Toru Watanabe took her hand and held it affectionately. "We are family. Winning or losing doesn't matter. You have said all the good things." Mrs. Kiyono rebuked. "I am the only boy here. If I don't say good things, who will?" Toru Watanabe got up. "Let's go." "Okay." Mrs. Kiyono raised her arms and groaned to relieve the fatigue from her concentration. Then, she stood up neatly. After taking a few steps, she turned back and said to the servant, "Put a set of chess in the car. I want to win it back in 3 days." "You don't want to lose?" Mrs. Kujo teased. "Kiyono's women are like this. They never admit defeat." Mrs. Kiyono took her daughter's hand. "Isn't that right, Rin?" "Of course." Rin Kiyono nodded gently. "What a coincidence." Mrs. Kujo took her daughter's arm. "Our Kujo's women are like this too." Toru Watanabe, who didn't care about winning or losing at all, followed them and thought about what had just happened. Mrs. Kiyono praised him, but he didn't complete the last-minute task. Taking the initiative to play chess and then winning, it really counts as inducement. This was one of his attempts. He just didn't know if he could complete the task if the other three praised him because of this game of chess. He didn't get the data, but it shouldn't be possible. The task was harder than expected. It was almost impossible for him to do something without the intention of being praised by the other party. He had an excellent memory and could think in multiple threads. If his memory was a little worse, he might temporarily forget the system's task in the middle. Or perhaps he is a womanizer, who is so absorbed in his play with ladies that he acts only to win their affections. Or he was a person who liked to show off, showing off his physical strength, romantic words, and magical props just to win admiration. But he wasn't. He had an excellent memory and rejected Rin Kiyono. He didn't like to show off. When they arrived outside the palace, there was already a car with a lot of space. "Drive there?" Toru Watanabe asked. "I'm very talented at driving." Mrs. Kujo tossed the car key in her hand. "The first time I saw you, you were wearing a kimono. Was it really you? What nonsense are you talking about?" "Of course it was me." Mrs. Kujo opened the door and got in. "Get in." Toru Watanabe wanted to sit in the front passenger seat, but Mrs. Kiyono was faster than him. He had no choice but to open the back door and let the two ladies in first. Even though they were so rich, the back seat of this car wasn't a separate seat. It was the two mothers' plan again. The two ladies didn't enter the car. "I'm not sitting with her," Rin Kiyono said. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and snorted contemptuously. In the end, Toru Watanabe was sandwiched between them. Fortunately, there was enough space, so unless it was on purpose, they wouldn't bump into each other. Toru Watanabe obediently sat next to Miki Kujo. He could do anything to Miki Kujo, Mayasahi, and Aona Koizumi, but to other women, even Rin Kiyono, he would actively keep his distance. Especially Rin Kiyono, a beautiful girl who could see through other people's hearts. Her words, actions, expressions, and mannerisms were all extremely charming. "Let's go." Mrs. Kujo stepped on the accelerator. In front of the palace gate, more than a dozen servants bowed to send them off. The sky was clear. The asphalt road, the streetcar, the houses, the trees, everything in sight was bright. "Do you want something to eat?" Mrs. Kiyono asked the three of them with snacks in her hand. "No." Miki Kujo put her hand on the door handle and looked out the window. The two families were close. They had been best friends since her mother's generation. Kiyono's mother had watched her grow up, so she didn't need to say, "Thank you." "What about Rin?" "I don't want to eat." Kuan Watanabe. "Thank you, but I don't want to eat either." Mrs. Kiyono glanced at Toru Watanabe. "Kuan Watanabe, even if you're sitting in the back seat, you still have to fasten your seatbelt." Toru Watanabe left Miki Kujo, sat in the middle, and fastened his seatbelt. Mrs. Kiyono turned around and complained to Mrs. Kujo, who was driving. Children these days have no sense of the law at all. Yes. Mrs. Kujo's driving posture was very cool. It was very different from Aona Koizumi, who was always holding the steering wheel with both hands and looking around. "Watanabe-kun," Mrs. Kujo continued, "the more money and power you have, the more you have to abide by the law. In the future, when you become our family's son-in-law, you can't bully others and do anything illegal." "Yes, I understand." After dealing with her, Toru Watanabe lowered his voice and said to the two ladies, "Rich people are so hypocritical." Miki Kujo kept her hand on the car window and looked at him with her charming and cold eyes. "Except for Miki. Lies. Hey, Kiyono-san, your mother has recognized me as her godson. Whether we're siblings or siblings, shouldn't you help me? Who are you family with?" Miki Kujo reached out to Toru Watanabe's waist. Wait, I have something to say." Toru Watanabe grabbed her hand. "Say it." "Miki, you see, Aunt Kiyono is an elder. What can I do? Can I refuse her?" "Kuan Watanabe, Mom is going to be sad. You make it sound like Mom forced you." Mrs. Kiyono's tone was full of exaggerated disappointment. "Look," Toru Watanabe said to Miki Kujo, "what can I do? What can I do?" Seeing how confident he was, Kujio Miyoshi was both angry and amused at the same time. You don't want to be family with me? Rin Kiyono's tone was arrogant, as if it was someone's honor to be her family. Forget about being siblings. If we're siblings, I'll have to sacrifice myself. Kiyono-san, remember to call me sister-in-law, Miki Kujo said with a sneer. Shouldn't a sister born in September call me elder sister? Rin Kiyono responded with a sneer. I'm going to register with Watanabe now. Miki, I'm only 17 in a week. There's still a whole year until the legal age of marriage. Toru Watanabe reminded. Toru Watanabe, are you helping me or her? Miki Kujo asked. Of course I'm helping my family, Toru Watanabe said with certainty. Haha. Mrs. Kujo patted the steering wheel. Mrs. Kiyono also laughed happily. Rin Kiyono pursed her lips. Miki Kujo first glared at Toru Watanabe, but in this kind of atmosphere, her eyes also revealed a smile. I was worried that the drive would be too long and boring. I didn't expect that the drive would become so interesting just because Kuin Watanabe joined us. Isn't that so? Every time I chat with Kuin Watanabe, I feel very happy. Mrs. Kiyono agreed with a smile. I have a question I want to ask the two mothers, Toru Watanabe said. What is it, my good son? Mrs. Sano turned around and looked at him affectionately, as if saying that she would tell him anything. How old are you two? Haha, this doesn't seem like the kind of question Kuin Watanabe would ask. The car left Tokyo and a large field of farmland appeared in their vision. In May, there was a field of corn. The car drove through it as if they were walking on the bottom of a green sea. After passing through the corn forest, there was a green wheat field. They could hear the sound of the wind blowing the wheat. It's so beautiful. Mrs. Kiyono looked at the scenery outside the window. She turned around and said to the four people in the car, It's not bad to come out once in a while. If you want to come out, just come and find me. I'm always free. Driving on the straight national highway, Mrs. Kujo enjoyed the fun of driving. What's the point of us two old women coming out? Mrs. Kiyono was very vengeful. Just now, Toru Watanabe had asked her about her age. Hearing no response, she strangely turned around. Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo fell asleep with their hands on the window. Toru Watanabe's whole body was almost leaning on Miki Kujo's arms. He also fell asleep. The two ladies looked at each other and smiled softly. Toru Watanabe's head was pushed away by Miki Kujo. When he woke up, it was already 3 in the afternoon. In fact, he didn't fall asleep at first. If he was really going to sleep, he definitely wouldn't have deliberately pressed on Miki Kujo. The two ladies went to sleep first. He didn't want to chat with the two ladies, so he pretended to sleep and then pressed on Miki Kujo's arms with the intention of teasing her. In the end, it was too comfortable and he really fell asleep. What's wrong? He asked. We're here. Miki Kujo said in a bad mood. I see. Toru Watanabe nodded. I thought you wouldn't let me lean on you. Miki Kujo rolled her eyes at him, meaning, you haven't pressed on me enough times. Indeed, they were almost there. After a few minutes, the car drove into the parking lot. The parking lot was at the foot of a mountain. There was no one else but them. We have to climb the mountain before dark, then set up the tent and cook. Mrs. Kiyono said seriously. An atmosphere of needing to return to the camp before the blizzard arrived, or else they would die in the snow spontaneously arose. What's wrong after dark? Isn't there light? Miki Kujo asked. I'm just setting a goal. Mrs. Kiyono's expression relaxed and she said with a smile. I'm fine with it. Miki Kujo looked at Rin Kiyono with a smile. Rin Kiyono didn't bother to look at her and looked up at the tree-lined mountain ridge. Mrs. Kiyono looked at the two of them, blinked her clear eyes, and said in an innocent tone, You have to help each other when climbing the mountain. You can't give up on your teammates. The two of them pretended not to hear. On the other side, Mrs. Kujo and Toru Watanabe had already moved all the camping equipment out of the car. You can carry your own clothes and personal belongings. Mrs. Kujo said, Kun Watanabe, I'll have to ask you to carry some heavy items. No problem. Toru Watanabe nodded. You should know what to pay attention to as well as I do. Let's not waste time. Then, climbing team, let's go. The 5 of them entered the forest from the mountain pass and officially stepped on the mountain. Mrs. Kujo walked in front, followed by Mrs. Kiyono, Rin Kiyono, and Miki Kujo. In order to prevent accidents, Toru Watanabe walked at the back. The mountain path is very simple. Toru Watanabe looked at the dirt path that had been stepped on. How can we really go into the dangerous primitive forest? This is a commercial mountaineering attraction and a tourist destination. Mrs. Kujo, who was in front, answered. Although she said that, it didn't take long for the 5 of them to enter the forest. The man-made path became a natural path. They could still see traces of people walking, but rather than being stepped on, it was better to say that they had found a suitable foothold. At this point, Rin Kiyono was already panting. Miki Kujo's footsteps were steady, and she deliberately walked behind Rin Kiyono. There was a small stream in the forest, so clear that one could see the bottom. They occasionally had to step on the pebbles in the stream. There's water here, why don't we rest for a while? Rin Kiyono suggested. Miki Kujo sneered. Little Rin, Mrs. Kujo didn't stop walking. If we rest all the time, we won't reach the campsite before dark. In fact, they had only walked for a few minutes, but wasn't it natural to rest in a place with water and good scenery? This was just Rin Kiyono's wishful thinking. The stream gurgled, and occasionally freshwater crabs, shrimps with thin and long pincers, and small transparent fish would jump out from under the rocks. The stream was full of weeds, and Toru Watanabe recognized the edible cress. Miki, do you want to drink water? Hearing the sound of water, Toru Watanabe asked. Miki Kujo nodded. Her feet were a little painful. Toru Watanabe took out a bottle of water from his backpack, which was stuffed to the brim. He unscrewed the cap and gave it to her. Miki Kujo didn't even look at it. She took it and sipped it. Toru Watanabe walked forward, past her, and came to Rin Kiyono's side. Here. It was another bottle of drugged water. Rin Kiyono raised her snow-white slender neck, and gulped it down. The 2 women carried the water themselves, and Toru Watanabe returned to Miki Kujo's side. Miki Kujo gave him the half-empty bottle of water. Toru Watanabe took a sip, and unscrewed the cap again. The scenery is good, I chose it. Mrs. Kiyono said. On both sides were towering trees with dense shade. 3 or 4 spots of sunlight were scattered on the ground, the rocks, the stream, and their bodies. It's really good. Toru Watanabe took out his phone, and took a picture of the surroundings, then ran to the front and took a picture of the 4 beauties climbing the mountain. The 2 women put their faces together, Rin Kiyono wiped sweat, and Miki Kujo looked at the dense forest in the distance. Pass it to me later, Mrs. Kujo said. That's what I plan to do. Toru Watanabe ran around with the heaviest luggage. He took group photos, mother and daughter photos, best friends photos, enemies photos, intimate photos of him and Miki Kujo, and of course, the scenery. Chapter 275. Following the stream, they arrived at a narrow path that only one person could pass at a time. The narrow path was flattened, revealing bare soil. Occasionally, 1 or 2 stubborn weeds could be seen. On both sides of the narrow path, there were bushes with crickets and other insects jumping out from them. On both sides of the bushes, there was a tall and dense forest. On this narrow path, Rin Kiyono began to wipe her sweat. Occasionally, she would raise her head to take a sip of water. Even Miki Kujo began to pant. Almost no one spoke. Only the sound of footsteps and panting could be heard. In the forest, the occasional sound of a bird flapping its wings could be heard. Kiyono-san. Miki Kujo spoke. What's the matter? Rin Kiyono answered with difficulty. Your butt is very perky. Toru Watanabe was speechless. Rin Kiyono turned around. She seemed to want to say something, but in the end, she gave up because she was out of breath. Look carefully. Your legs are long and beautiful, and they're close together. Unfortunately, there's almost no chest. Kiyono-san, why are you sweating? I saw the color of your underwear. Toru Watanabe subconsciously looked over, but his eyes met with Miki Kujo's. Go to the front. She ordered coldly. I'm worried if you're not in my line of sight. I'll stay behind. As for the color of your underwear, I promise I won't look. Miki Kujo looked at him, then turned around without saying a word. She continued to provoke Rin Kiyono, trying to get her to talk. Toru Watanabe stared at Miki Kujo's back and butt. Occasionally, he would look at the scenery and only use his peripheral vision to make sure that the 4 people in front of him were safe. After walking for another half an hour, when Rin Kiyono could no longer hold on with the medicine, they finally reached the end of the narrow path. It was a plateau. Let's rest here, Mrs. Kujo said while wiping her sweat. Toru Watanabe saw Kiyono close her eyes slightly, as if she had heard the holy voice and received salvation. The 5 of them sat on their backpacks and rested. Rin Kiyono took out a hairband and put it on her left wrist. Then, she used both hands to tie up her long hair. She didn't know how she did it, but her hair was inexplicably tied into a beautiful bun. There was a thin layer of sweat on the back of her snow-white neck. Her youthful body was filled with the temptation of vitality. Her long hair was pulled up, and she seemed to have taken off a piece of clothing. She sighed in relief. Mrs. Kujo glanced at her and said with a smile, "There's a stream and a hot spring up there. You can even swim and take a bath." "Okay." Rin Kiyono nodded. "Ling's stamina is better than before." Mrs. Kiyono was slightly gratified. "Maybe it's because I'm used to walking up the school's slope." Rin Kiyono looked at the empty bottle in her hand and turned her gaze to Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe took out another bottle from his bag. He couldn't drug her in front of the 4 of them, so he handed it to her directly. "Don't drink too much. There's a toilet on the mountain," he said. "Okay." Rin Kiyono responded softly. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. "I don't think you've ever cared about me like this before?" What about you?" "That's enough, Miki," Toru Watanabe said helplessly. "I'm just giving you a reminder based on common sense. Besides, Kiyono and I are just friends. What are you worried about? Who knows? Maybe you're secretly keeping someone behind my back." Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe with a meaningful and cold smile. Toru Watanabe had a feeling that she had seen through his secrets. He wasn't afraid of Miki Kujo himself. In the past, he gave in for his parents. Now, he began to worry about Masahi and Aona Koizumi. "What do you mean by that?" Toru Watanabe probed with a smile. "Help me massage my leg. It hurts from walking." Juhiro Miyoshi lazily placed her leg on his. Toru Watanabe rubbed her thighs and calves to help her relieve her fatigue. It seemed that she was just being suspicious. "I'm so envious. I also want someone to massage my legs," Mrs. Kiyono joked. "Sorry, Mom, this is the exclusive right of a girlfriend." After that, Toru Watanabe changed the topic. "Does this mountain belong to Kiyono's family?" "Yes." Mrs. Kiyono looked at the flowers in the grass. "There's a lake at the top of the mountain. We're planning to build a hotel by the lake and set up camp on this plain. Tourists can come here to climb mountains, camp, soak in hot springs, and go boating. It's already built." Toru Watanabe stroked Miki Kujo's beautiful legs and asked curiously, "How can it be so fast?" "It's just finished planning. We haven't even drawn the design yet," Mrs. Kujo said. "The boat, toilet, and pool on the mountain were built immediately after we decided to camp here." "How do you know?" Toru Watanabe asked again. "Doesn't it belong to Kiyono's family?" "Kiyono's family is mine," Miki Kujo said with a smile. Yes. Mrs. Kiyono nodded elegantly and said in agreement, Kujo's family and Kiyono's family are one. Can you believe this? Toru Watanabe didn't ask. Miki, Rin. Mrs. Kiyono looked at the two of them. You're both girls. You grew up together. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, you must help each other. Neither of them answered. Rin Kiyono originally wanted to drink water. After taking a sip from Toru Watanabe, her body was no longer thirsty. After listening to her mother's words, she neither nodded nor denied it. She closed her eyes to recover her strength. Miki Kujo hugged Toru Watanabe's neck and leaned her head on his shoulder. It seemed that she wanted to seize the time to sleep. After walking for a long time, both of them were tired. After resting for 10 minutes, they continued to climb the mountain. They walked on the ridge of grassland. If they had followed the previous pace, they could have climbed to the top of the mountain in one breath. However, Rin Kiyono was holding ordinary purified water in her hand. After a while, her face turned pale and everyone stopped to rest. After walking and stopping, they finally arrived at their destination before dark. This was a huge grassland that also served as a lookout. Standing on the edge of the cliff, one could see the entire town in the distance. Toru Watanabe didn't know which city was at the foot of the mountain. In short, it wasn't Tokyo, it wasn't Kyoto, and it definitely wasn't his hometown. Let's start to set up camp. After that, we'll go to the hot springs. Mrs. Kujo was used to giving orders. She did whatever she said along the way. While setting up the tent, Toru Watanabe secretly asked Miki Kujo, "What was your mother like when she was young? Was she very fierce to you?" "Not fierce, just strict." Miki Kujo handed Toru Watanabe a nail. Toru Watanabe glanced at Mrs. Kujo. Together with Mrs. Kiyono, she was excitedly following the instructions to set up the tent. "I can't imagine her being strict." Toru Watanabe shook his head. "Kiyono-san, have you ever seen her mother being strict?" Rin Kiyono played around with her small stool. When people sat on it, it would sink in. When she bought it, Toru Watanabe imagined her sitting on it and reading a book. "I've never seen her. At that time, I didn't go to her house anymore." Rin Kiyono unfolded the stool and placed it there. Her eyes slightly lit up. That stool indeed had the urge to sit on it immediately and leisurely enjoy the passage of time. The four-person tent was shaped like a small house. Toru Watanabe's tent was just an ordinary semicircular tent. However, both were made of very good materials. Ordinary wind and rain couldn't do anything to them. Unfortunately, it would only be used once. After setting up the tent, the ladies clamored to take photos. One moment, they were outside the tent, and the next moment, only their heads peeked out of the tent. The two ladies enjoyed it as if they were female university students who came out to play. Miki Kujo was pulled by Toru Watanabe to take a lot of photos with an unwilling expression. Only Rin Kiyono sat on her small stool and quietly read a book. If it weren't for the fact that she didn't know where the hot spring was and that the two ladies refused to tell her, she would have gone there alone. "Okay, let's go. Kuan Watanabe, did you send the photos to me?" "Yes." "Look at this one. The angle is good. The four of us feel like we're walking in a primitive forest." "Look at this one. Ha ha ha, little Lin is half drunk. He looks a little silly when he looks at the camera. Is he too tired? Save it. Why is there a photo of Mickey's butt? I even sent this out. So you want to keep it for yourself to enjoy? Don't say that, Mom." Holding a change of clothes and chatting about the photos, the five of them came to the hot spring. The hot spring hasn't been carefully arranged yet, but there are changing rooms and a bamboo wall that blocks the view. Toru Watanabe soaked alone on the left side, listening to the voices of the women on the right side commenting on each other's figures and the sound of water watering their bodies. Separated by a symbolic bamboo wall, almost everything could be heard clearly. Because they were too tired and the hot spring was too comfortable, they soaked until it was dark. The stars are so clear. You can't see this at all in Tokyo. Little Lin, what constellation is that? At some point, Mrs. Kujo suddenly said, "Kun Watanabe, do you want to come over and soak together? You can also take a mixed bath." Ha ha ha. Mrs. Kiyono laughed like a real university student. "Come over, Kun Watanabe. It's normal for a family to take a mixed bath." "Mickey will kill me," Toru Watanabe replied. "What? If I don't kill you, will you come over?" "No." "Lies." "I just want to, but I will never do it." "That's true. So you want to." Mrs. Kujo's voice was affectionate and charming. "Kun Watanabe, who do you want to take a mixed bath with the most? I'll go back and start a fire to cook first. You guys take your time." With the sound of water splashing, Toru Watanabe stood up and left the hot spring. The two ladies over there laughed together. The pleasant laughter stirred people's hearts, but on this uninhabited mountaintop, it could only be heard by the stars in the sky. "I guess he must want to soak with Mickey and Lynn." "That's hard to say. There are teenagers who like our age now." "Mother, what are you talking about?" "I'm not talking about Kun Watanabe, I'm just talking about social phenomena." "Dirty." "You actually said I'm dirty. When you were taking off your clothes just now, it was you who stared at your daughter's chest, right?" "I was looking at you with sympathy." "Mother." "Ah, Lynn, I didn't mean that. Look at me, although they're not big, they're not small either. You still have." At this point, Toru Watanabe had already changed his clothes and left. Stepping on the starlight and comforting Lin Kiyono in his heart, he leisurely walked back to the campsite. First, he lit the camping light hanging on the long pole. The warm light enveloped their small campsite like a pyramid, and it was said to have the effect of repelling insects. He lit the mosquito coils again. Then, he used the wood he picked up to make a fire and boil water. Then, he took out today's ingredients that he had prepared in advance. Tomorrow's ingredients would be prepared by himself. For dinner, there was hot pot on the gas stove and rice cooked in the lunchbox. There were almost no cooking requirements for these things. He just had to follow the process. Toru Watanabe could boldly make them without worry. "It smells so good. After taking a bath, we can eat delicious food. It's such a blessing. Isn't it usually at home?" "Huh. It seems so." The four of them had rosy complexions as they walked over. Their figures were graceful, and they were so enchanting that he couldn't take his eyes off them. Under the starry sky, under the light of the camping light, the five of them sat around the table and ate hot pot, occasionally adding a bowl of rice. The bonfire burned and burst with crackling sounds. All kinds of insects in the mountains were like a natural symphony. This time, they brought a lot of tools, such as tables, chairs, and so on. If it weren't for Toru Watanabe, they could only bring these things when they were driving and camping. After dinner, Mrs. Kiyono used the water boiled over the bonfire to make black tea for the five of them. "Kun Watanabe, you're the first to make it. You've worked hard today," she said. "I'm very happy to be able to come out and play like this." "It's not hard at all," Toru Watanabe said sincerely. "I also feel very happy." Mrs. Kujo was the second to get the black tea. "Let's go to the seaside villa or the mountains for summer vacation." "I'm looking forward to it," Toru Watanabe said. Mrs. Kiyono didn't give the third and fourth cups immediately. She made them together and then served them to Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo at the same time. "You two are equally important in my heart." Toru Watanabe glanced at Rin Kiyono, and Rin Kiyono glanced at him. Although she didn't intend to tell Toru Watanabe the truth with her eyes, Toru Watanabe still read it. Toru Watanabe suddenly realized that as long as Rin Kiyono was there, wouldn't he also have the ability to see through lies? "Let's sit around the fire and talk. First of all, Mrs. Kujo said, Miki Rin, what do you think of Kun Watanabe?" "I'm curious too." Mrs. Kiyono looked at her daughter and Miki Kujo expectantly. "I've never asked." Toru Watanabe was interested. "Not really." Miki Kujo took a sip of the mellow black tea. "But occasionally, I have a feeling that no matter what kind of feelings he shows, there's a cold and sober place deep in his heart that's difficult to capture. Is there? Toru Watanabe didn't feel it himself. What about Rin? Mrs. Kujo asked Rin Kiyono. Very arrogant. Rin Kiyono gently blew on the tea, and the white mist disappeared into the night where the camping lights couldn't illuminate. Arrogant? Mrs. Kiyono repeated the word. Well, he has a temperament that's different from kindness, compassion, evil, cruelty, and other emotions. It's like he was born with it. It's a bit similar to what Kujo classmate just said, but rather than calmness, I prefer to describe it as arrogant. Stop talking. Toru Watanabe couldn't stand it anymore. If I let you go on, the image I've been building up will be completely destroyed. What image do you have? Miki Kujo asked. Gentle. A person with no merits is a gentle person. That's prejudice. The five of them sat on the empty plateau flat, drinking black tea and chatting, occasionally looking at the stars and listening to the insects. Chapter 276. The five of them camped at the top of an empty mountain. Insects chirped and the night sky twinkled above their heads. Unbelievable, it's as if we're the only ones left in the world. Mrs. Kiyono sat on a chair and looked at the Milky Way. At the end of May, a bonfire drove away the chill at the top of the mountain. Tongues of flame flickered, illuminating everyone's faces from the side to the front with a bright yellow color. Miki and Rin are done. Now it's your turn, Kun Watanabe. Mrs. Kujo was full of interest. What do you think of Miki and Kiyono? Toru Watanabe asked. Let's talk about this first. Mrs. Kujo had an expression of, let's talk about this first. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono. Miki Kujo crossed her slender legs and looked back at him with a smile. Rin Kiyono had a book in front of her, but she didn't read it. She also looked at him. Let me choose my words carefully. Yes, it's good for your safety. Rin Kiyono said seriously. She and Toru Watanabe laughed at the same time. This kind of conversation happened many times last year. It happened a year ago, but it felt like a long time ago. Now that they talked about it, it felt like they were reminiscing about the past. Miki Kujo looked at the two of them and took a sip of tea. Toru Watanabe thought for a while and said, Miki is arrogant, unreasonable, and cold. If she wants something, she can't get it. She will destroy it. Are they all flaws? Mrs. Kujo asked curiously. Of course they are. But even with these flaws, they are also charming. Tell me about them. Miki Kujo raised her chin slightly. Arrogant, but accommodating to me. She even eats what I've eaten. Ah. Mrs. Kiyono gasped. She couldn't accept this. Is it normal between couples? Probably. Toru Watanabe smiled and said, also, she's unreasonable, but after we started dating, she became a willful girlfriend. As long as I said it nicely, she would agree most of the time. She's cold, but sometimes she would pretend to be cold. When she couldn't help but laugh, she's very cute. There's such a side? Mrs. Kujo was surprised. After listening to Toru Watanabe's words, Miki Kujo recalled the new year in Iwate Prefecture. That morning, she rode a motorcycle for the first time in her life, and it was a Honda Coyote that she had been using for a long time. The small country road, the clear canals by the roadside, the white windmill on the distant mountain ridge, the strength of Toru Watanabe hugging her waist. Other than the fact that the carriage had entered the canal at the beginning, nothing serious had actually happened at that time, but she had always remembered it clearly. Miki is a poisonous vine. If you approach her, you will be injured or even killed. Toru Watanabe continued, but when you win her love, she will only put away her poisonous thorns for you. On the vine, she will bloom a flower that belongs only to you. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe without saying a word. Then how much do you love her? Mrs. Kiyono asked Toru Watanabe. The four of them looked at him, but Toru Watanabe didn't answer immediately. He took a sip of the black tea and slowly swallowed it. The warm feeling slowly moved from his throat to his stomach, and then from his stomach, it spread to his entire body. He took another sip and said, I can say, higher than the mountains, deeper than the sea. I can say, just like the stars in front of me, I love Mickey as much as they exist. But these are only word games. No matter how beautiful they can't describe the depth of love. After a short pause, he continued, I don't know how much I love Mickey, but I know that I won't leave her for the rest of my life. Not bad. Mrs. Cujo laughed. Mickey, what do you think? Mickey Cujo's face didn't show any expression. Arrogance, smugness, contempt, disdain, none of it. The empty campsite fell into silence. The firewood crackled and the insects chirped. The depth of love is indescribable, Mickey Cujo said in the silence. But if we're talking about who loves her more, it's definitely me. Oh my, Mickey is so bold? Mrs. Kiyono covered her mouth. Not bold, but the truth is, Mickey Cujo's expression was indifferent. When it comes to the depth of love, men can't compare to women. For example, I and some other people will either burn everything in the world to ashes or burn themselves to ashes after they have decided on someone. Toru Watanabe's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Mickey Cujo. Mickey Cujo was also looking at him. In those clear and cold eyes, the fire flickered, as if it was really burning something mercilessly. You smell like hot pot. Let's go soak in the hot spring. Mrs. Cujo suddenly stood up. Directly change into pajamas this time? Mrs. Kiyono didn't ask why and agreed. Yes, I'm tired from walking today. Rest early. Tomorrow, we'll go boating and exploring. Rin Kiyono took out her clothes from the tent and saw Toru Watanabe sitting there without moving. She asked him, You're not going? Wait a moment, Toru Watanabe replied softly. Okay. After they left, Toru Watanabe sat alone in the empty campsite. It was quiet all around. He was all alone. On the morning of May 29th, Toru Watanabe opened his eyes. There was a low tent above his head. He could hear the crisp sound of birds and smell the fragrance of the grass. He got up and walked out of the tent. The sky was vast, and the white clouds were like a painter's casual brushstrokes on the blue sky. The frustration of last night's Cold War with Mickey Cujo for the first time was swept away. Today was the anniversary of their relationship. He had to maintain a happy mood. He stretched his body slightly and began a morning run along the ridge. At the same time, he checked his one-year check-in reward. Number of days check-in, Mickey Cujo 1 year. Player received a check-in gift pack. Money, 2 billion. 50% charm coupon *1. 50% intelligence coupon *1. Item, Rose of True Love. Skill, Command, Basic. Toru Watanabe clicked on the item and skill description. Rose of True Love. Mickey Cujo's guardian flower. Drip the owner's blood on the seed and plant it in the garden to protect it for life. Command, Basic. You can command lives with intelligence of 1 to 2 points. Toru Watanabe ran towards the forest. The tree trunk was straight, thin, and tall. The sky was like a laser, shooting down from the dense leaves. He looked at the bird on the branch. Come here. Command. The bird flapped its wings and landed on Toru Watanabe's outstretched finger. When he returned to the campsite with dew all over his body, Rin Kiyono was already up. She was holding her clothes and was about to take a bath in the hot spring. Yesterday, you took the car and climbed the mountain. You can still get up, Toru Watanabe said. I can't sleep in a new environment. Rin Kiyono looked at the beautiful bird on his shoulder. You even started to deceive birds? Why don't you say, even birds can't resist your charm? It varies from person to person. So, what's going on? This bird was very beautiful. It was red all over, but there was a yellow feather on the top of its head. It held its head high and puffed out its chest like a queen wearing a crown. Toru Watanabe found it hard. I'm not sure how it works, but it seems to be able to understand my commands. Toru Watanabe said. Looks like you really are crazy. Rin Kiyono looked at him with worried eyes. Toru Watanabe turned his head and said to the bird, "Baby, fly around in the sky." Command. The bird chirped twice, flapped its wings, and rushed into the sky at an extremely fast speed. With the blue sky as the background, it swooped down and soared into the sky. It was pleasing to the eye. After a while, the bird landed on Toru Watanabe's shoulder again. Rin Kiyono touched her chin and said, "Aona Koizumi traveled through time, your body was taken over, you turned into a cat, and now you command a bird. Are you really a superhuman? Aren't you one too? Kiyono classmate who can see through lies." Toru Watanabe said with a smile. "The two of us are really different." Rin Kiyono put down her hand and smiled beautifully. "What do you plan to do with this bird?" She didn't care about superhumans, but the fact that Toru Watanabe and she were the same kind made her very happy. "Today is the anniversary of Mickey and I'm going to give it to her. It can understand Mickey's words. Can't I just make it understand?" "Wait a minute, did you just call her Mickey?" "It's just a name. Even now, I still call you Watanabe classmate." Rin Kiyono didn't care. "Our families are close, and her family is full of Kujo. If I don't call her Mickey, how will others know that I call her that?" "So, she used to call you Ling?" Rin Kiyono nodded. "That's a good relationship." Toru Watanabe said, "Mickey only calls me by my name occasionally. I'm jealous." "Lies. You're the same as me. You don't care about how people call you." Rin Kiyono said with certainty. "It's boring talking to you." "That's also a lie." End. Toru Watanabe walked to the bonfire and prepared to cook. Rin Kiyono went to the hot spring to take a bath. When the bonfire was lit, the bird hid far away and stood on top of Miki Kujo's tent. As he was adding firewood, he heard the sound of the curtain being lifted behind him. Toru Watanabe looked back and saw Miki Kujo walking out in her long-sleeved pajamas. "You're up so early today?" "I couldn't sleep." "What's wrong?" Toru Watanabe asked with concern. "Nothing. I'm not used to having people around me." Miki Kujo's tone was cold. She twisted her neck and took a deep breath of the fresh mountain air. Toru Watanabe took out the lunchbox, added purified water, and boiled it over the bonfire. Then, he lit the gas burner and prepared to fry the salmon. "That's right." He turned down the fire and said, "I have a gift for you." "Yes. Come down." "Order." Toru Watanabe shouted and the bird flew to his hand. "I found it in the forest during my morning exercise. It can understand my orders." Toru Watanabe ordered the bird again, "Listen to us in the future, okay?" The bird spread its wings and chirped twice. "Try it," Toru Watanabe said to Miki Kujo with a smile. Miki Kujo looked at him coldly. Last night's incident was still in her heart. "I will never leave her for the rest of my life." She was no longer the same person as last year's study trip. She was no longer satisfied with this. She wanted more. She wanted Toru Watanabe's true love. "Go to her shoulder." Order. The bird flapped its wings and flew from Toru Watanabe's shoulder. It drew a beautiful arc and landed on Miki Kujo's shoulder. Kujo turned her head and looked at her shoulder. The bird tilted its small head and looked at Miki Kujo. "Give it a name." Toru Watanabe turned the fire up and continued to fry the salmon. Miki Kujo looked at the bird and said, "Go down." The bird flew away from her shoulder and flapped back to Toru Watanabe's shoulder. "Go back." Order. The bird flapped back to Miki Kujo's shoulder. "Go down." The bird went back to Toru Watanabe's shoulder. "Go back." Order. The bird landed on Miki Kujo's shoulder. "Go." Okay. Toru Watanabe quickly said, "Although it's just a bird, you can't bully it like this. It's one of the anniversary gifts I gave you. If you're angry, kick me or pull my ear." Miki Kujo didn't look at him. She stared at the bird. "From today on, you're called Queen." She stroked the yellow feather with her hand. "Come to my hand. It couldn't be seen if the queen spread its wings. It seemed to jump lightly and landed on Miki Kujo's slender white fingers. "What kind of prop is this?" Miki Kujo asked. "Bird. Queen is not a prop. It may be the demon of this mountain." "Maybe." Miki Kujo snorted contemptuously and angrily. "Go wash up. By the way, wake them up." The two ladies woke up. The three of them took their clothes and went to the hot spring. They went in two groups and came back together. For breakfast, there was fried fish, vegetable salad, rice, and miso soup. It was a very simple island-style breakfast. In the early morning at the top of the mountain at the end of May, the air was cool. It was just right to drink miso soup. "My cooking skills are average. Don't dislike me," Toru Watanabe said. "It doesn't matter. Even if the taste is average, it's still delicious." Mrs. Kiyono's words were not a compliment. "Let's not talk about breakfast first. What's the deal with this bird called Queen, Kuin Watanabe?" Mrs. Kujo asked. "I met it in the woods when I was running in the morning. Maybe it knows that today is Mickey's and my anniversary, so it came to congratulate me? It's so romantic. It's just a bird." Miki Kujo ate the fried fish. "It's just one of the gifts," Toru Watanabe said. "Oh." Mrs. Kujo was curious. "What else?" "Please allow me to keep this a secret." "Only tell Miki," Mrs. Kiyono asked. "Only Miki," Toru Watanabe affirmed. The topic went back to Queen. The two ladies were very curious about it. They asked what kind of bird it was and where it was caught. Finally, they discussed that they shouldn't rush to build a villa and camp. They should catch a few first. After breakfast, the five of them went for a walk to the lake. Walking along the ridge, the sky was high and the earth was far away. It was like walking at the end of the world. Queen flew out of sight for a while, and then flew back from an unexpected direction, happily chattering to Miki Kujo. After walking for half an hour, they saw a hillside full of wildflowers. White, yellow, blue, pink, one flower after another, the entire hillside was filled with flowers, dazzling the eyes. After lunch, "Come here to draw and take a nap," Mrs. Kiyono said happily. "Be careful of bees stinging you." Mrs. Kujo joked. "I have a straw hat, I can cover my face. What if it flies under the hat? How can there be such a smart bee? Look at Queen. Maybe there's a spirit in this place. The animals are very smart." The two ladies talked happily. Seino Rin was so tired that he didn't want to talk. Miki Kujo didn't say a word, she seemed to be thinking about something. Toru Watanabe was at the back, sometimes looking at the scenery, sometimes looking at Miki Kujo's beautiful back. Walking to the highest point of the ridge, there was a downward slope in front of them. Below the slope was the lake. The lake was as calm as a mirror. The lake was blue, reflecting the blue sky and the accumulated white clouds. It was a simple scenery, but it was pleasing to the eye, relaxing and happy. A lake at the top of the mountain. Toru Watanabe said to himself, "Well, this used to be a volcano." Mrs. Kiyono said, "Not bad, right? I asked you to buy it." "Generous." Toru Watanabe expressed his admiration. "You did it on purpose? Why don't you praise me for having a good eye for investment? You haven't made any money yet. What if you lose money?" Toru Watanabe said. "If you lose money, you can build a private camp and villa." "Very generous." Toru Watanabe expressed his admiration again. Everyone went down the slope to the lake. The lake was covered with stones. There was no silt. Occasionally, waves hit, and the stones were washed smooth and transparent. Standing close to the lake, it was like facing the sea. "Let's go take a boat." Mrs. Kujo led the five people to the place where the boat was anchored. There were two wooden boats, each with a life jacket and oars. "The two of us young women will be in a group, and the three of you will be in a group. Is that okay?" Mrs. Kujo said. According to the lady's idea, it would be best if Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo could be in the same boat. However, it was impossible without Toru Watanabe. "I'll be in a group with you," Rin Kiyono said. "Today is their anniversary, let them be alone for a while." Mrs. Kiyono looked at Mrs. Kujo. Mrs. Kujo thought for a moment. "Okay, Rin, you and I." "Wait." Miki Kujo suddenly said, "You'll be with us." Rin Kiyono looked at her with some surprise. She suggested that the two of them be alone because she felt that something was wrong with her today. She didn't expect that Miki Kujo was even more wrong than her. Not only Rin Kiyono, but even Toru Watanabe and the two ladies were shocked by Miki Kujo's words. Rin Kiyono came back to her senses and nodded, "Okay." Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo, and Miki Kujo looked at him deeply. Chapter 277. Toru Watanabe rowed the boat, and the three of them came to the center of the lake. The lake water was so clear that the bottom could be seen. The blue sky and white cumulus clouds were reflected at the bottom of the lake. Their boat seemed to be walking above the clouds, 8,000 meters in the air. At night, the stars in the sky will fall into the lake. After that, Toru Watanabe recited in Chinese, "Chasing dreams?" Holding a long pole, drifting to the greener grass, carrying a boat full of stars, singing in the colorful starlight. Rin Kiyono sat at the bow of the boat, her long hair swaying in the breeze. She also recited in Chinese, "After getting drunk, I don't know the sky or the water, the boat is full of dreams." "You've also started to study Chinese poetry like Nagai Kazue?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Nagai Kazue is not the only one who studies Chinese poetry." "Ah, sorry." Rin Kiyono covered the corner of her mouth and said with a smile, "Do you know that Nagai Kazue is the only writer who studies Chinese poetry?" "Kiyono-san, has anyone ever scolded you for speaking badly?" "No one dares to scold me except you and Kujo-san. You two have a tacit understanding," Miki Kujo said with a smile. Toru Watanabe stopped rowing and looked at her. "Miki, no need to explain." Miki Kujo interrupted him, "I don't want any anniversary gifts. Just answer a few questions honestly." At that time, many thoughts flashed through Toru Watanabe's mind, but in the end, he chose to nod. "Okay," he said. Rin Kiyono crossed her arms and looked at the two of them indifferently. Miki Kujo glanced at her, and then looked at Toru Watanabe. "I won't ask Rin Kiyono for help, but if you choose to lie to me on your anniversary and in front of Rin Kiyono, who you think is your confidant, I have nothing to say." Toru Watanabe remained silent. The wind blew across the surface of the lake. Without Toru Watanabe's control, the small boat floated alone between heaven and earth, drifting in an unknown direction. "You have a woman outside?" Toru Watanabe's heart contracted and thumped wildly, as if it was about to jump out of his chest. Other than that, there was no change in his appearance. "With Miki around, even if I wanted to, I wouldn't do it." When the words reached the tip of his tongue, they turned into, "Yes." "Why?" Toru Watanabe asked himself. She clearly knew Miki Kujo's personality. She clearly knew that her answer would put my Asahi and Aona Koizumi in danger. Why did she still answer like that? Don't want to deceive Miki Kujo on their date anniversary? He didn't want to lie in front of Rin Kiyono? Yes, he didn't want to. That wasn't all. There must be something else. Somewhere in the depths of his heart, there had always been a hidden thought. Confess everything to Miki so that there would be no more secrets between us, no more grudges, and we could live happily together. How do you know? Toru Watanabe's voice was dry, and his throat was dry. I didn't send anyone to follow you, but as a girlfriend, are you really not interested in your boyfriend's new address? You don't even pay attention to the woman who once had your boyfriend's body? Miki Kujo sneered and continued, Toru Watanabe, you're really something. The news of that Aona Koizumi receiving a bouquet of roses every day has long spread in the school. Do you think I'm deaf? I'm sorry. With how cautious you are, Why would you do such an obvious thing? Do you like that sensei that much? Miki Kujo questioned him harshly. Of the three of us, of course, I like you the most, Miki. But since we've already decided to be together, I don't want to disappoint them. Toru Watanabe answered bitterly. You can punish me however you want, but please let them go. He let go of the oars and rested his elbows on his knees. His palms overlapped on his forehead. I won't do anything, but you have to leave them. Toru Watanabe remained silent. This was a multiple-choice question that he had been faced with since the first day he was together with Masahi. Even now, when he had to make a choice, he still didn't have an answer. I originally planned to do this, Miki Kujo said, using the guilt of deceiving me, using their safety and lives as a threat, saying, I only think about you, what about you? To leave you by my side. Toru Watanabe was in even more pain. I only think about you, what about you? This sentence brought him immense sorrow. A thought popped up in his mind subconsciously. Miki wants to leave me? The moment this thought appeared, he didn't even have time to think before an instinctive emotion surged up. Absolutely not, absolutely not. Miki Kujo looked deeply at Toru Watanabe. She asked in a voice that sounded like she wanted to tear him apart. Last night, why did you only say, you won't leave me, and didn't answer how much you love me? Watanabe was at a loss for words, unable to open his mouth. You hate me for killing you in the past, and you're worried that I'll find out that you have a mistress, so you don't dare to love me? Miki Kujo's tone sounded like she was stating a fact. I love you, that's the absolute truth. But you love Rin Kiyono more? Toru Watanabe was speechless. Rin Kiyono glanced at him and said calmly, Since you don't plan to let Watanabe-san leave them, what do you plan to do, Kujo-san? Miki Kujo stood up and walked over to Toru Watanabe on the slightly swaying boat. Raise your face, she ordered. Toru Watanabe raised his face. If Miki Kujo wanted to hit him, he would feel better. But Miki Kujo didn't hit him. She looked into his eyes and said, Once at the Imperial Tea Water, once at the Kamigawa Gymnasium, I owe you twice. Allowing you to keep those two women. Toru Watanabe was so shocked that he couldn't say anything. If you do it a third time, don't blame me for doing it one last time. I can't kill you, but none of them will live. Miki, don't worry. Toru Watanabe made up his mind. He had already made the same promise to different people, and he wouldn't break it. Miki Kujo stretched out her right hand and pointed her index finger between Toru Watanabe's eyebrows. From today onwards, love me well. From today onwards, love you well. Miki Kujo's finger started from between his eyebrows and slid down Toru Watanabe's nose, all the way to his lips. Remember what you said to me today. Her finger pressed against Toru Watanabe's lips. Her slender white finger continued to slide down Toru Watanabe's chin. At the same time, Miki Kujo's long hair fluttered. She turned around and looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono, you once said that your opponent wasn't me, but Toru Watanabe's sense of responsibility. So, what about now? From today onwards, it's not just about responsibility. Without waiting for the gloomy Rin Kiyono to speak, Miki Kujo's deepest, truest feelings made her say the following words. I won. The surroundings were silent. The boat spun in the middle of the lake. White cumulus clouds reflected in the water, creating ripples as if a gust of wind was blowing at an altitude of 8,000 meters. You surprised me. Rin Kiyono's tone was calm. I didn't expect you to be willing to share Toru Watanabe with others. Share? Miki Kujo sneered. He's just a tool for me to reconcile with Watanabe. Two good-for-nothing lovers. Are they worthy of sharing? I'm already surprised that you're willing to reconcile with Toru Watanabe. It's my fault for being such a greedy woman. If I don't satisfy him, he won't leave me. Isn't it partly because of me? Rin Kiyono said affirmatively. If it weren't for my threat, you would have gotten rid of those two people long ago. Anyway, even if Toru Watanabe hates you because of this, he still won't let you leave him. Who knows? Miki Kujo said meaningfully. Maybe even without you, I would have made the same decision. Forget it. It doesn't matter. I admit that you're temporarily in the lead. Temporarily in the lead? Miki Kujo laughed. You're still as confident as ever. Do you think that you're the only one who understands Toru Watanabe? You've already lost, loser. Loser? Rin Kiyono repeated this word in disbelief. Toru Watanabe pretended that he didn't hear her. He was admiring the clouds in the sky. The clouds were shaped like pears. There are some things that I don't want to say. Rin Kiyono stood up and brushed her long hair off her shoulders. But in order to not let your temporary victory get to your head, it seems that I have to say it. The struggle of a loser. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and looked at her with a smile. Loser. Rin Kiyono took a deep breath. Since you don't want to be polite, then don't blame me. Say it. Miki Kujo didn't care. Toru Watanabe fell in love with Masahi because Masahi would either be with him or die. Toru Watanabe fell in love with Aona Koizumi because of Aona Koizumi's 10-year persistence. Toru Watanabe fell in love with you because you threatened his parents' lives. He's temporarily with you. Then, Rin Kiyono said the last sentence with a sneer. Toru Watanabe fell in love with me. It was true love. There were no external factors. Not only that. Miki Kujo sneered. Even if I allow him to raise those two women, the person he loves the most right now is still you. You're quite self-aware. So what? Miki Kujo smiled, but it was different from her usual smile. It was as if she had walked out of a tunnel filled with intrigue and arrived on a sunny country road. I killed him twice, but he still fell in love with me. Not to mention now. It's all in the past. Do you think he can resist my charm? Miki Kujo stepped forward and closed the distance between them. Rin Kiyono could see her reflection in Miki Kujo's eyes. You and those two women. Miki Kujo whispered. I'll make him forget all of it. I want all of his love. Is that what you want now? Rin Kiyono also replied in a voice that only the two of them could hear. I've had it from the beginning. Now, I'll slowly take it back. Don't cry, Miki. Don't come begging me even if you lose. The number of lovers is full, Rin. After rowing, the five of them gathered on the shore. I have a suggestion, Toru Watanabe said. The four of them looked at him. Let's move the tent over and camp by the lake at the top of the mountain at night. How about we camp on the grassland last night and by the lake tonight? He asked the four of them with a smile. Good idea. Mrs. Kujo nodded. But I'll leave the heavy luggage to you. Of course. What's the matter? Mrs. Kiyono asked with a smile. After rowing back, I feel like Kun Watanabe's mood has improved. Miki said she loves me. Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Miki is so bold. Mrs. Kujo pretended to be surprised. Kujio Miyoshi snorted disdainfully without commenting. Mrs. Kiyono glanced at her daughter. Rin Kiyono was expressionless. Toru Watanabe was very happy and even excited. Before today, he and Masahi had only gone out on a date during the day, and that was on the day they moved in. They went to Freedom Hill. As for Aona Koizumi, although they were already lovers, apart from hugging, they didn't do anything that lovers should do. They didn't even go to the movies. But from now on, he didn't have to go out of Shinjuku and stay away from Chiyoda. In the end, he reconciled with Miki Kujo. From then on, the two of them were of the same mind and body. They were truly equal and became a real couple. Toru Watanabe suddenly thanked himself for going to Imperial Tea. How could there be such a wonderful thing in the world? He thought that there would be a lifetime of unspeakable estrangement between him and Miki Kujo. He thought that he would have to hide the matter between Masahi and Aona Koizumi for the rest of his life. But when these two things were put together, he suddenly saw the light. Fate, perhaps in the distant past, had really decided everything. The 5 of them began to move their luggage and camped by the lake again. Toru Watanabe was full of enthusiasm. He didn't care if his exaggerated physical strength was discovered. As long as he could carry it, he took it all in one go. Amazing! Mrs. Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe's heavy luggage. Our Kujo family found an amazing son-in-law. The genes of our future generations will be even better. I don't dare to promise you that, Toru Watanabe said with a smile. I'm the child of an ordinary farmer. When it came to me, my genes suddenly became better. As long as you're not ugly. But you have to be smart. Miki Kujo made a request. Miki, Mrs. Kujo said with dissatisfaction. You're a girl. Don't participate in this kind of topic. Miki Kujo said to Toru Watanabe, I'll sleep with you tonight. Shame. Mrs. Kujo turned to look at Mrs. Kiyono. Don't tell anyone about this. The Kujo family's aristocratic face will be lost. It depends on my mood. Mrs. Kiyono said with a smile. At noon, they barbecued by the lake. Without the prepared barbecue grill, Toru Watanabe piled up rocks to make a fire pit. Although Miki Kujo's Toru Watanabe, you're really amazing, was not a compliment, but they completed the first task and received a camping gift pack. Toru Watanabe directly chose barbecue among the 3 mastered skills of fishing, picking, and barbecue. The red and white beef was very beautiful. Dipped in sauce and salt, it was fresh and juicy without being greasy. The pork belly looked very delicious. Barbecued until both sides were golden, the fat was juicy, and the meat was a little crispy. Then, they were served with a big drink. The ratio of fat and lean was just right with the beef belly. It was so fragrant that even the fish ran to the lake and opened their big mouths. After eating and drinking, Mrs. Kiyono put on her straw hat and said in a melodious and pleasant tone, Let's go to the hillside to take a nap and bask in the sun. Everyone slowly went to the hillside full of wildflowers. The 2 ladies chatted on the blanket, ate fruit, and let Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono draw for them. Toru Watanabe lay on the grassy ridge with his hands behind his head, looking at the changing white clouds in the sky for a while, and looking at the 2 ladies who were concentrating on drawing. At around 2 o'clock, the 2 ladies fell asleep. Rin Kiyono sat under a birch tree, reading a book with her knees bent. Miki Kujo lay next to Toru Watanabe, her head on his chest, and the 2 of them snuggled together. How much do you love me? I love you very, very much. How much is very, very much? Forever. How long is forever? Always. How long is always? From the flowers on this hillside from blooming to withering. That's it. I said blooming 100 times and withering 100 times. Toru Watanabe's lips were on her face. In the grass and flowers, their lips were together. Many wildflowers were blooming on the hillside, bathing in the warm sunshine of June. Miki Kujo fell asleep at some point, and Toru Watanabe also closed his eyes quietly. He felt relaxed with Miki Kujo. This was the first time. Her slender body leaned in his arms, their arms intertwined, and her cheek rubbed against his neck. Chapter 278. Pater. Toru Watanabe opened his eyes and saw the blue sky with rolling white clouds. The sky had been clear since the morning. After noon, a few clouds floated in from somewhere, but the sun was still bright. He lowered his head slightly and Miki Kujo snuggled in his arms. He gently stroked her delicate face, picked up a strand of hair, and tickled her neck. Miki Kujo made a slight sound of dissatisfaction. She twisted her body and leaned closer to Toru Watanabe, burying her face in his arms. Toru Watanabe put his right hand on her slender waist and picked up her right hand with his left hand. Miki Kujo's 5 slender fingers had petal-like thin red fingernails. Under the warm sun, her hand was so white that it was almost transparent, delicate and delicate. Toru Watanabe massaged her hand as if he was massaging a baby's hand. After a while, Miki Kujo woke up. She glanced at Toru Watanabe and closed her eyes again. She slept in his arms and let him play with her hand. Don't sleep. Toru Watanabe patted her waist with his right hand and was about to get up. Miki Kujo put one of her legs on him, so Toru Watanabe had to lie down again. He pressed his lips against her faintly fragrant hair. What's wrong? I haven't been sleeping well recently. Miki Kujo closed her eyes. Toru Watanabe remembered that she had indeed woken up very early this morning. He guessed that it was because of my Asahi and Aona Koizumi. Miki Kujo must have thought about it countless times in her heart and night to make such a decision. He didn't ask and just hugged her tightly. After a long silence, Miki Kujo's deep voice came. After I found out that you had lovers, I wanted to kill them directly. It was clearly a very simple thing, but I couldn't do it. I hesitated because I was worried that you would leave me. No. Toru Watanabe said. No matter what Miki Kujo did, even if they hated each other, he would not allow her to leave. They had slept together, and she was his for life. Then one night, I had a dream. I dreamed that I was sitting in a car and saw you and Rin Kiyono talking and laughing on the road. Miki Kujo didn't continue. Why did he have that dream? Was it because of the estrangement between him and Toru Watanabe? Was this a manifestation of his worries? She didn't say whether the dream ended here or how she felt after waking up. Toru Watanabe didn't ask anything. He just held her hand tightly, put his arm around her waist, and whispered firmly in her ear, Miki, I will always love you. What if what happened in the dream happened? I don't know what happened in the dream, but even if our lives intersected, and you only glanced at me in the car, and we never talked again, like two perpendicular lines that only intersect once in a lifetime, I will follow the lines back to the intersection point and find you. Go on. Find you 1,000,000 times. Say a little more. When the time comes, you will still be a straight line, and I will become a wavy line. Do you know the electrocardiogram? Up and down, will continue to intersect with your straight line until the two lines become one. Isn't that dead? What a metaphor. Miki Kujo hit Toru Watanabe's chest and sat up. Toru Watanabe looked at her liveliness and smiled. Even if we die, we will die in a line. See how much I love you. I love you more. No, I love you more. If I didn't let you raise those two women, would you love me? I still love you. I love you more now, twice as much as you love me. Isn't the depth of love indescribable with words? What reason? Why not? Who said so? I'll kill him tonight. Miki Kujo rolled her charming and noble eyes at Toru Watanabe. The two of them stood up, and only the two of them were left on the hillside. Toru Watanabe bent down to pick up the drawing board in the grass. The patter he heard just now was the sound of the drawing board being blown over by the wind. Miki Kujo pounced on his back. Toru Watanabe hooked her leg and straightened up as he smiled and said, Be careful not to fall when you suddenly pounce on me. This is a hillside. You will roll down it. Do you want to roll with your sister on a hillside full of wild flowers? Miki Kujo bit Toru Watanabe's ear and teased him with her undulating voice. Sure. The blue sky, white cumulus clouds, and the hillside full of wildflowers. Toru Watanabe held the drawing board and carried Miki Kujo, who wanted to roll around, on the high ridge. Back at the campsite, Rin Kiyono and the two ladies were drawing in front of the lake at the top of the mountain. The two ladies held paintbrushes in their right hands and fruits in their left. Rin Kiyono struggled to scrape the weeds on the drawing board with a palette knife. That gust of wind just now had blown her drawing board over. You came just in time. Mrs. Kujo said to the two people who came down from the hillside, Take the boat to the center of the lake and be our models. Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo got on the boat and rowed to the center of the lake. Your mother really knows how to order people around, just like you. You don't like her? Like your mother? Now that things have come to this, I won't lie to you. My feelings for her are just Miki Kujo gave him a kick. When they reached the center of the lake, Toru Watanabe let go of the oars and let the boat swim on the lake's blue sky and white clouds. Are we just going to sit here like idiots? Toru Watanabe asked. You're the one who told me to get up. Miki Kujo said unhappily. What I mean is, can I kiss you, Miki, my beautiful princess? Will you really love me forever? I swear, Toru Watanabe slowly approached her and said in his low and gentle voice, I swear to the blue sky, to the lake at the top of the mountain, that I, Toru Watanabe, will love Miki Kujo forever. He put his left arm around Miki Kujo and his right hand on her shoulder, looking at her delicate little face that was slightly raised. Miki Kujo closed her eyes. The sunlight fell on her face. Her cold and soft lips touched Toru Watanabe's breath. Her heart seemed to sink to the bottom of a clear lake, but also seemed to fly to the clouds and the blue sky. By the lake, Toru Watanabe admired the oil painting with him and Miki Kujo as the background. The five of them sat around the table with a charcoal fire in the middle. On the charcoal fire, there was a grill net with corn, sausages, asparagus, shrimp, meat skewers, and so on. The bonfire burned beside them and the sparks rose like rain and fog. What do you think, Kun Watanabe? Mrs. Kiyono pouted and ate the asparagus, worried that she would be burned. This is a realm that I can't reach no matter what. Toru Watanabe put down the painting in admiration. Don't be modest, Rin Kiyono ate a thin slice of roast beef. You're also good at drawing apes. That's true. Toru Watanabe picked up a skewer of meat, bit it with his teeth, and chewed. The grease exploded in his mouth. When it comes to drawing apes, I think Kamigawa is the best. Drawing apes? Mrs. Kujo asked curiously. It means ugly. Miki Kujo ate a skewer with meat, green pepper, corn, and asparagus. It's fine if you say it's ugly, but at least explain what's ugly, right? It's the drawing that's ugly, not the person that's ugly. Toru Watanabe protested. The two ladies laughed. Kun Watanabe, Mrs. Kiyono's lips were still burned. We drew, shouldn't you praise our talents? Are you sure you want me to sing? Toru Watanabe looked around at everyone and said with a smile. Forget about singing. Everyone refused. I know. Toru Watanabe put down the meat skewer and wiped his mouth with a tissue. He walked to the lakeside and broke a leaf to make a flute. He sat back in his seat. Back in my hometown, I saw Sawamura play the flute first. You're the only one who plays, right? Miki Kujo said. Nonsense. All the children in the village play it. All right. Toru Watanabe put the flute to his lips. The nostalgic sound of the flute wiped out the surrounding sounds. The sky, the lakeside, everything returned to silence. Under the bright moonlight, the sound of the flute, the sound of the bonfire, and the lapping of the lake water intertwined into a beautiful melody. At the end of the song, the four people gently clapped. It's beautiful. Mrs. Kiyono praised. Why is it Kamigawa's school song? Miki Kujo tore off a piece of meat and fed it to the Empress. 4 valleys and hills, the school buildings where the crow flies, our alma mater, Kamigawa. Toru Watanabe sang the beginning of the song. This is probably the only song I can sing that doesn't go out of tune. Unfortunately, I don't have a guitar. He added, otherwise, I'll make the moon fall in love with me tonight. Guitar. Miki Kujo confirmed. The oboe doesn't have the feel of the guitar. Toru Watanabe said, think about it, I'll hold a guitar, cross my legs, by the lake, by the bonfire, singing a beautiful song, how about it? Fall in love with me? Sounds good, but you don't play the guitar, and you can't sing. Rin Kiyono said. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. Does anyone want to sing? I can accompany you. We'll sing a song together, and then Rin and Miki will sing a song together. Mrs. Kiyono wiped her mouth with a napkin. She didn't know if there was any prior discussion, but Mrs. Kujo immediately agreed. Without giving her daughter a chance to object, she said, Kun Watanabe just played the school song, so let's sing the graduation song. Luli ri ri. Mrs. Kiyono guessed. Mrs. Kujo smiled and shook her head. Luli ri ri. Mrs. Kiyono immediately said the name of the next song. Correct. Mrs. Kiyono smiled happily. Mrs. Kujo turned her head and asked Toru Watanabe, "Kuan Watanabe, have you heard of it?" "Yes, but please wait a moment." Toru Watanabe closed his eyes and recalled a year ago, the day he graduated from Genza Middle School. Remembering the tune, he played it twice with the straw flute. "Okay." With that, he played the prelude to Departure. Mrs. Kiyono and Mrs. Kujo looked at each other and sang at the same time. Colorful flowers, flowing clouds, unforgettable memories, evoking thousands of thoughts, leaving memories to yesterday's windowsill, spreading my wings and soaring into the blue sky. The voices of the two ladies were truly pleasant to listen to. After singing, Toru Watanabe and the other two clapped, and the two ladies politely bowed their heads to thank them. "The ladies' group is finished. It's the ladies' group's turn." Mrs. Kiyono clasped her hands and said, "Kuan Watanabe, you will be the judge and see which group sings better." "No problem." "No." Rin Kiyono coldly refused. Miki Kujo smiled and said, "I have no problem." "Rin," Mrs. Kiyono puffed up her cheeks like an angry little girl. Rin Kiyono ignored her and picked up a piece of roasted pork belly, dipped it in a dipping dish, and elegantly put it into her mouth. "Then why don't you tell us what to do?" Mrs. Kiyono was dissatisfied. After eating the pork belly, Rin Kiyono said, "The three of us recently participated in a light novel competition. The results will be out in early June, and we'll recite them to you now. Who do you think is better? Writing a light novel?" Mrs. Kujo asked curiously. "Miki also does such a thing?" Toru Watanabe had already told her the reason, but she still pretended not to know. "The loser will have to wear a maid's uniform for a week." Miki Kujo looked at Rin Kiyono. "I've already made your clothes." "I've also made yours," Rin Kiyono responded. "How interesting," Mrs. Kiyono said impatiently. "Hurry up and recite them for us." Rin Kiyono took a sip of her wheat tea. At the end of March, at the beginning of April, at Morioka Station, I ran like crazy. "Wait, why are you reciting mine?" Toru Watanabe was surprised. "My weak stamina caused my running movements to change. You can tell how strange it was from the way the other people at the station looked at me." Miki Kujo continued reciting. "Miki, you..." "Unfortunately, I didn't have time." Rin Kiyono recited. "The Akita line from Iwate Prefecture to Tokyo still left me." "Damn it! Damn it!" Toru Watanabe recited the next line and shouted out his own feelings. The crow flew across the blue sky, passing through Miyagi Prefecture, Itsuki Prefecture, and finally landed on the wire fence of a high school in Tokyo. Miki Kujo took a sip of her juice. It blinked its dark eyes and looked at a classroom on the third floor. "Damn it!" The two ladies listened with great interest. Sometimes they ate barbecue, sometimes they drank wine, and sometimes they asked about the plot. "Kuan Watanabe, why does the male protagonist always say that he doesn't want to be a human anymore?" Mrs. Kiyono asked. "It's to cater to the light novel market." "Why can we see underwear here? Are the school skirts very short?" Mrs. Kujo asked. "I made it up." "Ah, you actually broke into the girls' changing room? And in that instant, you actually remembered all the styles of the bras? Kuan Watanabe, you're amazing." Mrs. Kiyono praised him exaggeratedly. Mission 2 completed. Player received, May gift pack, X1. Thank you. They didn't finish the last night of their family trip until midnight. After soaking in the hot spring, Toru Watanabe lay down in his tent. Miki Kujo didn't actually sleep with him. "When I get back, I'll tell my senpai and Koizumi sensei the good news. I wonder how they'll react. I'm really looking forward to it." Toru Watanabe thought about going back. He closed his eyes and prepared to sleep happily. It was quiet all around. The lake water lapped against the rocky shore. The bonfire was still burning. Just as he emptied his mind, the emotions that he had been suppressing suddenly burst out. It was a sadness that almost suffocated him. It swept over him. Toru Watanabe's stomach twitched. The space around him seemed to be shrinking, trying to squeeze out this time. He couldn't hear anything. He couldn't smell anything. He couldn't remember anything happy. Was it over just like that? Was it going to be like this for the rest of his life with Rin Kiyono? He wasn't sad because he was unwilling. It was because he had made up his mind. The more determined he was, the sadder he felt. That unreachable dream that could never be realized was still a dream in the end. Toru Watanabe suddenly opened his eyes. He panted and took deep breaths as if he had been holding his breath for a long time. If it went on like this, tears. He got up, opened the tent, and wanted to take a walk by the lake. The moon was bright, and the surface of the lake sparkled. In front of him, Rin Kiyono stood alone by the lake, looking at the bright Milky Way. Toru Watanabe looked at her and was about to return to the tent. But in the next moment, Rin Kiyono did something. She reached out to the moon in the lake, as if she wanted to grab something. Toru Watanabe stood there for a long time, unable to take a step forward. It didn't matter whether he went forward or returned to the tent. Qing Yi Rin suddenly turned around, his long hair swaying slightly in the night breeze that carried the green grass. His skin was as white as the moonlight, and his jet-black eyes were like the stars, shining with a bright light. She looked at Toru Watanabe with those eyes. "Too excited to sleep?" she asked. "Good evening." Toru Watanabe walked over leisurely and stood by the lake. He tried to act as if he was at ease. When he got closer, the sparkling lake at the top of the mountain was now pitch black, like an abyss, except for the moon. Rin Kiyono stood beside him, and the two of them looked at the lake side by side. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Watanabe." "Yeah. When a person has expectations, their mood will fluctuate." "That seems to be the case." Toru Watanabe nodded. "I still miss a certain moment. When you were young with Mickey? Last Christmas on the tram home." Toru Watanabe could only stare silently into the distance. Under the sky, a black silhouette appeared on the mountaintop that surrounded the lake. After a moment of silence, Rin Kiyono suddenly smiled, and the almost frozen atmosphere dissipated slightly. "I'm very happy that you appeared here tonight." "Too excited to sleep? What are you happy about?" "Too sad to cry?" Without waiting for Toru Watanabe to answer, Rin Kiyono turned around and smiled at him. "Me too." Toru Watanabe tried his best to pretend that he didn't care. "I thought that you wouldn't feel discouraged or sad. That was before I met you." Rin Kiyono looked at the moon in the lake again. When a person has the happiness that they want to fight for, they naturally have to bear the sadness. "I've already made up my mind." "What do you plan to do?" "The world won't be gentle to those who compromise. I'll never give up on myself, and I won't compromise with anyone." Toru Watanabe fell silent again. "Watanabe, I have something to ask you." "Yeah." "I want to know, about my Asahi and Aona Koizumi. Did you intentionally expose them to Miki Kujo?" "Why would you think that?" Toru Watanabe was surprised. "Including what happened at Imperial Tea and the gymnasium? How's that possible?" Toru Watanabe tried his best to smile naturally. "No matter how smart I am, I couldn't have thought about what would happen 1 year later from that time, right? Everything was a coincidence." "No, it was an ill-fated relationship." "Is that so?" Rin Kiyono didn't deny it. "Aona Koizumi can travel through time. Who knows how many times you've restarted your life?" "Is this the best solution that you've found after countless attempts to conquer Miki Kujo? Am I playing a game? Isn't life a game?" Rin Kiyono asked. "If you want to say yes, it is. No and no. Forget it. I'm not here to discuss what is life with you in the middle of the night. I'm going back to sleep." Toru Watanabe turned around and walked back into the tent. "Watanabe, you came here tonight with sadness in your heart. Let me sleep well. Can you sleep after hearing that I won't give up?" "I've already made up my mind." "Then I'll use one sentence to change your mind. Impossible. Toru Watanabe walked to the front of the tent. You still don't realize how important I am to you. Rin Kiyono's cold and pleasant voice rang out. I know, but I've still made up my mind. Toru Watanabe reached out to the tent. Not everyone is like you, able to meet someone whose heart matches yours. This person still loves you. Are you really going to give up on her just like that? The movement of lifting up the tent paused. See? Rin Kiyono's voice was filled with amusement. You don't want to part with me. That's not true. Toru Watanabe went back into the tent. Rin Kiyono's belly stood under the bright moonlight. She reached out to the moon in the sky. It's a lie, Watanabe-san. Chapter 279. I haven't had fun like this in a long time. Mrs. Kiyono sat in the front passenger seat, enjoying the wind blowing in through the window. You chose a good location. Toru Watanabe said. Yesterday you said that I might not be able to make money. I remember it clearly. It's useless to say it now. Mrs. Kiyono said with a vengeance. I said, I haven't made money yet. How did it become, I can't make money? Kun Watanabe, Mrs. Kujo turned the turn signal to the right. Don't reason with a woman. Just admit your mistake. It's my fault. I forgot such an important principle. You're a fast learner. Miki Kujo said with a smile. After all, I'm the best in the country. By the way, Kujo's mother, drop me off at the Sigu station. I'll also get off at the Sigu station. Rin Kiyono said. Okay. At the Sigu station, Mrs. Kujo found a place to park the car. Goodbye. Toru Watanabe waved to the three. Miki, see you at school tomorrow. Miki Kujo nodded slightly. Kun Watanabe, Mrs. Kujo said as she started the car, when you're on summer vacation, we'll go out to play. Is room and board included? If not, I'll start working part-time to save money. Yes. Mrs. Kujo replied with a smile. That's good. How about a seaside villa during summer vacation? Both at home and abroad are fine. Mrs. Kiyono suggested. Let's not go abroad. Let's stay at home. Mrs. Kujo said, if you don't want to go to the seaside, you can go to the mountains in Kingjings to avoid the summer. Beep, beep. The car behind them honked. Kun Watanabe, help me check the license plate of the car behind us. Mrs. Kujo said with a smile. Whether we go to the seaside or the light well lake, we'll discuss it again during the summer break. After saying that, Toru Watanabe took a few steps back and waved his hand. Mrs. Kujo glanced at Toru Watanabe unhappily. Her eyes were charming and seductive. She stepped on the accelerator and drove away. Toru Watanabe watched them leave, then turned back to Rin Kiyono and said, Didn't she tell me to obey the law the day I left? Yes. Rin Kiyono couldn't help but yawn. On the first night, she was not used to an unfamiliar place. The next night, when everyone was dismissed, it was already 12 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, she was still by the lake, discussing what is life with Toru Watanabe. Go back and have a good rest, I won't send you off. After a short pause, Toru Watanabe said, I won't send you any more roses. From today onwards, sending flowers, reading personal diaries, hugging in the crowded streetcar, going back to their hometown together, making eye contact. Everything will become a thing of the past. No matter how close they were only friends. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono will be friends forever. As he thought about it, his sadness began to spread again. The noisy crowd around him, the surging traffic, and the flashing traffic lights not far away, Toru Watanabe felt like he was in the ruins of a city without a single person, even though he was in the crowded Tokyo. I'm leaving. Before falling into an uncontrollable sadness, Toru Watanabe said, Watanabe-san. Is there anything else, Kiyono-san? I can see through a person's lies, I don't care what a person says or does, I only see the truest thoughts in a person's heart. Whether you send me off or not, it doesn't make a difference to me, because your true thoughts are to send me off. Didn't you say that you want me to be myself? After you said that, can I still do it? Yeah. Rin Kiyono said with a smile, but if I can't insist on being myself, how can I ask others to do it? That's true, I heard you say something similar. Toru Watanabe thought about a long time ago. Actually, it was only a year ago. The two of them helped Aona Koizumi tutor her students. At night, when they were eating barbecue, Aona Koizumi advised Rin Kiyono not to be strict with her friends. You can't lie, she said. If you don't lie, you have the right to ask others to do so. Apart from not lying, what kind of yourself do you want to be? Toru Watanabe asked. Just like what I've always done, pursue what I want, and let the people who love each other love each other. Speaking of which, there's actually something I've always wanted to do. He changed the topic. What is it? To make you and Mickey friends again. Rin Kiyono paused for a moment, then smiled helplessly. Are you concerned about her, or about me? I'm concerned about both of you. Toru Watanabe said, Please don't worry, I won't be as deliberate as your mother. I don't like to force others. But you like to put something on the trap that others need, so that they'll be willing to fall for it. You tell them your purpose clearly, and you don't force them. It's such a gentle thing, so why does it become a scheme when it comes to Kiyono-san? I never lie. Did I lie? Ask yourself. I don't know if I'm scheming or not, but Kiyono-san, you're really eloquent. This is a reflection of me being smarter than you. You don't have to be too disappointed. After all, intelligence is mainly innate. What about the training after tomorrow? If you include the training after tomorrow, you're even worse than me. Rin Kiyono said confidently. Whatever you say, I have nothing to say. Do you feel better? Rin Kiyono asked with a soft smile. Toru Watanabe was really speechless this time. You're going to go back and tell my Asahi and Aona Koizumi the good news, right? They won't be happy if you have an expression of losing hope in life and thinking about other women. Didn't you hide it well yesterday? Is that also one of the methods to make me fall in love with you? Didn't you fall in love with me long ago? So that's one of the methods to steal me away from them? Part of it. Part of it. Toru Watanabe asked. Do you care about my Asahi and Koizumi, sensei? What I care about is you. Rin Kiyono said, Just stand there obediently, don't be sad, don't feel guilty, and wait for me to go over. No need to be grateful. God saves his believers. It's his obligation. You. Toru Watanabe opened his mouth to say something. Rin Kiyono waited quietly for a while, but Toru Watanabe still didn't say anything in the end. She put her hand on her chin, muttered word by word, and said as if she was deciphering a code, Why do you have to be so perfect? If there's even the slightest flaw, I can also take advantage of it, magnify it, and give myself a reason to only be friends. Are you trying to say this? Toru Watanabe once again felt the incomparably clear love between the two of them. Goodbye, he said. See you tomorrow. Rin Kiyono responded with a smile. Toru Watanabe turned around and walked into the station, taking the Sobu line back to Shinocho. The tram rocked. Today was still a fine day, the sun shone down, and the shadows of the car window were cast at his feet. Toru Watanabe looked at the scenery outside the window. In the 4- or 5-story apartment, some people were drying their quilts on the balcony, and some were watering the potted plants. He looked at these and thought about what happened just now. He joked many times that Rin Kiyono was a god, but when he heard her say, Just stand there obediently, don't be sad, don't feel guilty, wait for me to go over, he really felt how charming she was. In the end, he decided to stop thinking. If he continued to think, no matter how determined he was, he couldn't be indifferent to a beautiful girl like Rin Kiyono, who was almost perfect. Maybe it had nothing to do with determination. As long as one was human, there was an instinct to fall in love with her. He opened the system and clicked on the May gift pack. Player opened May gift pack. Warm return to cold allowance, 100 million yen, spring sleepiness, portable pillow *1, May sickness. Choose one of the 3 mastered skills: singing, bicycle riding, mountain climbing. Plum rain is coming, umbrella *1. Choosing the mastered skill, singing, Toru Watanabe clicked on the specific introduction of the portable pillow and umbrella. Pillow, comfortable, sleep aid, easy to carry. I'll give it to Mickey tomorrow. Umbrella, as long as you hold it well, it will never get wet by the rain. Hold it well? Toru Watanabe looked at the picture of the umbrella. It was not a giant umbrella like the one in front of the coffee shop. It was no different from the 200 yen transparent umbrella in the convenience store. It seemed to be an idealistic magical item. No matter how magical it was, it just wouldn't get wet by the rain. This was also within Toru Watanabe's expectation. The system was very strict on skills and items. When he came back to his senses, the tram just entered the Shinano station. After crossing the bridge, Toru Watanabe walked on the road full of apricot trees, thinking about Aona Koizumi and Masahi's reaction after hearing the news, and then guessing whether the two were at home. His footsteps gradually became lighter. Later when I enter the door, I'll pretend to be very excited and take the opportunity to mention Koizumi-sensei again. She should forgive me. Before he reached the apartment building, he saw Aona Koizumi drying her quilt on the balcony of room 502 from afar. Toru Watanabe waved at her. Even from afar, Toru Watanabe saw Aona Koizumi's oval-shaped face suddenly turn red. She pretended not to see him on the road, calmly patted Toru Watanabe's quilt twice, turned around and left the balcony. Toru Watanabe walked into the elevator, took the elevator and sent her a message. "Are you in room 502 or 501? I've been in room 501. Then please help me pack the quilt. It's been on the balcony for 2 nights, I don't know if it's wet. Since you're back, go pack it yourself. So you saw me? Open the door, I'm here." Toru Watanabe put away his phone and walked out of the elevator, just in time to hear the door of room 501 open. It was 3 minutes past 10 in the morning on Sunday. Aona Koizumi was still in her pajamas. Long, button pajamas, looking very homely. "Where did you go on your 3-day break?" Toru Watanabe walked in, threw his luggage at the entrance, and changed into slippers. "I have to grade papers." "What's my rank?" Toru Watanabe asked. "You'll know tomorrow." Aona Koizumi sat on the sofa, took a pillow and hugged it to her chest. "I want to hug you earlier." Toru Watanabe sat beside her. Aona Koizumi quickly moved to the side, a hand's distance away from him. "Didn't you get an advance on Thursday?" I can't remember." Toru Watanabe's left hand rested on the sofa's armrest, and his upper body slowly moved closer to Aona Koizumi. "Teacher, help me review." "Watanabe." Aona Koizumi hugged the pillow tightly, as if it could save her. She almost collapsed on the sofa. "What's the matter, Teacher Aonai?" Toru Watanabe smelled a faint fragrance on her body, very similar to magnolia. "Get out of the way." Aona Koizumi nervously looked in the direction of the bedroom, afraid that Huang Zi and Miyazaki Miyuki would wake up. "Teacher." Toru Watanabe's tone was serious, and his movement stopped. Aona Koizumi subconsciously retracted her gaze, and listened carefully. "Mickey knows about us." Aona Koizumi's ruddy face instantly paled, and her eyes were filled with panic, but then they were filled with determination. "Watanabe, just say that I seduced you. This has nothing to do with you. I'll talk to Kujo." "Teacher," she agreed. Aona Koizumi stared blankly at Toru Watanabe. "Teacher, Mickey agreed to be with us." Toru Watanabe raised his voice slightly. "You agree?" "Agreed." Toru Watanabe smiled happily. "Agreed." He suddenly reached out and hugged Aona Koizumi's waist, and spun her around in the living room. "She agreed to be with us. Koizumi-sensei." "Aonai." I know, let go of me first, stop spinning, you're going to wake Miyuki and the rest up." Toru Watanabe stopped spinning, and laid Aona Koizumi down on the sofa. At the same time, he placed his hands and knees on the sofa, and looked at her with a fist's distance between them. "Teacher," Toru Watanabe said excitedly, "from now on, we can go out on dates." Aona Koizumi nodded eagerly. Gradually, Toru Watanabe's breathing became heavy. "Watanabe?" Aona Koizumi carefully probed. She noticed his gaze. Tetsumesa Watanabe was staring at the chest of her pajamas, and there shouldn't be anything there. Aona Koizumi looked over, and her face instantly turned red. When she was spinning, one of the buttons in front of her chest was undone. She could vaguely see the alluring snow-white lines. Moreover, at home on Sunday, she didn't wear a bra. Gulp. Aona Koizumi nervously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. "Teacher." Toru Watanabe's voice was seductive, as gentle as the spring breeze blowing on a flower bud. Her heart was thumping, and her snow-white neck was dyed red. The sunlight shone through the balcony, and it was like a golden gauze covering the two of them. The room was brightly lit, and the light outlined Toru Watanabe's handsome face, deep and tender eyes, high-nosed bridge, affectionate lips, and sexy jawline. Aona Koizumi looked and looked, and for some reason, she felt a little breathless, and subconsciously lowered her eyes. Toru Watanabe kissed her. Aona Koizumi let out a light moan. A wave of heat gushed from the bottom of her heart, and it went through her whole body. She couldn't help but gently wrap her arms around Toru Watanabe's shoulders. Her lips, her heart, melted in the gentleness of spring. "Tisk, tsk, tsk. Even if it's just a kiss, please go back to the bedroom." The teasing voice made the intoxicated Aona Koizumi open her eyes abruptly. She looked over and saw her two good friends staring at her. "What about here?" Her lips and Toru Watanabe's were pressed together, and their tongues were in her mouth. Her pajamas were messy, and her breasts were slightly exposed. Toru Watanabe's big, hot hand was about to attack her peak. She suddenly pushed Toru Watanabe away and made a sound of, "Aha!" "No." She wiped away the saliva with her right hand, and pulled her clothes with her left hand. "It's not like that." "Not like what?" Guangzi asked. "Not kissing?" "No. Actually, Aona Koizumi was so embarrassed that she couldn't speak. She bit her lower lip, which was full of desire, and anxiously asked Toru Watanabe for help. "Aha." Toru Watanabe sat on the sofa. "Actually, Koizumi, sensei suddenly fainted due to anemia. I took off her clothes just to make sure that her breathing was smooth, and at the same time, I gave her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation." "Yes, that's right." Aona Koizumi nodded seriously. Unfortunately, her face was too red, and her eyes were watery. "Anai." Miyazaki Miyuki pointed at Aona Koizumi's leg. "Your pants are wet." "Ah." Aona Koizumi was shocked. She did feel something just now. She quickly looked down, and it was clean. "Miyuki, you lied to me." "Oh, I was wrong." Miyazaki Miyuki slapped her forehead. "Watanabe is the one with wet pants." The three of them looked over at the same time. "Hey." Toru Watanabe quickly covered himself with a pillow. He thought that no one would notice him sitting there. "Ha ha ha." Guangzi burst out laughing. Aona Koizumi's face was even redder. She seemed angry, happy, and expectant as she stared at Toru Watanabe. Chapter 280. On that sunny Sunday morning, the three female teachers sat in the living room and listened to Toru Watanabe talk about what happened during his family's camping trip. He didn't hide anything. He said that he wanted to slowly become an honest person, at least to the people who loved him and loved him. I didn't think that he would experience something like that. Knowing that Toru Watanabe was almost killed twice, Huang Zi was both shocked and scared. "Watanabe." Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe with a pained expression and wanted to touch his face. Toru Watanabe had a relaxed expression and didn't care at all. He had already completely let go of the fact that he would be together with Miki Kujo in the future without any barriers. It's thanks to these two experiences that Mickey allowed me to be together with Sensei. If I was the only one who suffered a little and had a perfect ending, everyone would be happy. That would be a huge gain. Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Huang Zi and Miyazaki Miyuki looked at him in surprise. Toru Watanabe stopped smiling. They weren't like the two ladies. First, it was their age. Second, in the hearts of the two ladies, apart from their motherly love for their daughter, they also had a calm, or perhaps heartless, sobriety towards others. The moment he stopped smiling, Huang Zi and Miyazaki Miyuki immediately regained their senses. Huang Zi was a bit embarrassed, but Miyazaki Miyuki was very calm. Young man, you're not the only one who paid the price. As a teacher, it took a lot of courage for Aonai to be together with you. That's not important. Toru Watanabe said. What did you say? Huang Zi, who didn't dare to look at him earlier, glared at him angrily. Toru Watanabe looked at Aona Koizumi. Her expression was doubtful and disappointed, but she wasn't angry. I was almost killed and Koizumi-sensei was under pressure. Let bygones be bygones. Don't be bound by them. In the future, treat each other well, not out of guilt, but out of love. After that, Toru Watanabe asked Aona Koizumi, Is this okay, sensei? Aona Koizumi's eyes flickered as she looked at him, understanding the meaning behind his words. From today onwards, he will no longer love her because of her 10-year persistence. Yes. Aona Koizumi's voice was soft and trembling. I'm going back first. I'm going to take a shower and take a nap. Toru Watanabe stood up. The three of them looked at his pants at the same time. The three female hooligans are gone. Aona Koizumi blushed. Miyazaki Miyuki smiled indifferently. Huang Zi shouted back, Who's kissing in the living room? You even used your hand to touch there. Akiko. Aona Koizumi's face turned even redder. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this kid. Yes, yes. How can sensei be wrong? It's all the student's fault. Without waiting for Huang Zi to speak, Toru Watanabe continued, Call me when you go grocery shopping tonight. From today onwards, I can go with you. Okay. Aona Koizumi's smile was very bright. Toru Watanabe took the duffel bag at the entrance and returned to room 502. He didn't take a shower. He lay on the sofa, exhausted. Rin Kiyono's cold and pleasant whisper sounded in his ear. He closed his eyes and saw the particles of light. Then, Rin Kiyono crossed her arms and rested her chin on her hand as she muttered. Noticing his gaze, she lifted her beautiful and fair face and used her sharp eyes to forcefully glare at him, as if she wanted him to do something. Rin, where are you now and what are you doing? Toru Watanabe recalled the first time he saw her outside of school. He went to the Shinagawa Aquarium for a date and took a car to pick her up. Outside the car window, she was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a high-waisted dress. She was awe-inspiring and beautiful. He felt that the air around her was clear and fresh. Watanabe. Looking at Chin-Yi Rin, he could hear a cruel yet beautiful laughter in his ears. Toru Watanabe withdrew his gaze from the car window. Opposite him, Miki Kujo was looking at him with a smile that was a little arrogant. He felt a piercing pain in his chest. He opened his eyes abruptly. He couldn't immerse himself in such a world anymore. Looking for comfort, he looked at the balcony. He wanted to see the sun, the blue sky, and the forest outside the shrine. On the balcony, Aona Koizumi was drying a quilt. He had to pull himself together. Since he had made up his mind, he had to do it well. He couldn't hurt Miki and the others because of his reluctance. He had to pull himself together. Toru Watanabe adjusted his mood, got up and went back to the bedroom to get a change of clothes. He went to the bathroom to take a shower. The quilt had just been dried, so he couldn't sleep. But after taking a shower, he felt a little better. He was ready to find Mayasahi. He took the elevator to the 6th floor and walked into room 602. Mayasahi, wearing a long skirt and short-sleeved shirt, was sitting on the sofa with her knees bent and reading a magazine. Her thin black hair hung over her shoulders, her delicate and calm little face. "Che." Mayasahi raised her head and looked at him with clear eyes. Toru Watanabe smiled. "Senior sister, let me tell you a piece of good news, beautiful." "Are you crying?" Toru Watanabe opened his mouth but couldn't make a sound. Mayasahi threw the magazine on her lap aside, opened her arms and said gently, "Che, come here." Toru Watanabe instinctively walked over and buried his face in her arms. "I will always be with Che." Mayasahi hugged him and whispered softly in his ear. "Senior sister." Toru Watanabe hugged her waist. His throat hurt. In the end, tears still flowed out. He had been holding it in since yesterday. He had already made up his mind. Why? What was the point of all this? Mayasahi stroked his hair and hummed a song. Toru Watanabe hugged her tightly. He sniffed the scent of her detergent and listened to her song. He cried silently. Looking at Toru Watanabe, who had fallen asleep, Mayasahi gently stroked his cheek. Her heart was filled with happiness and peace. Toru Watanabe slowly opened his eyes. "Che." She whispered her lover's name. "Senior sister." Toru Watanabe lovingly buried his face in her arms again. What happened? Toru Watanabe told her that Miki Kujo knew about them and allowed him to contact them outside. "Where's Che?" Mayasahi's voice was still calm and gentle. "Me?" "Yes, why is Che crying?" Toru Watanabe was silent. Mayasahi didn't ask any more questions. She pressed her face against Toru Watanabe's face. "As long as Che doesn't leave me, I will support you no matter what decision you make. I will stand by your side." "Yes." Toru Watanabe's voice was very soft. May 31st, Monday after the 3 consecutive holidays. When they got off the tram and walked out of Sigu Station, Keisuke Saito's voice came from the bicycle repair shop under the shade of the beech tree. "Watanabe, Watanabe, over here." He waved his hand vigorously. Beside him, the owner of the repair shop was looking at a bicycle with variable speed. "What's the matter?" Toru Watanabe walked over. "I don't know what's the problem, but when I ride, there's always a clatter-clatter sound." Keisuke Saito explained in confusion. "I'm asking you, when did you start riding a bicycle? Haven't you always taken the bus?" "To train my body." Keisuke Saito showed his arms. "In order to make an outstanding Megami, I must have a good body to prepare for staying up all night." Toru Watanabe nodded. "The artist has been settled. Chen Chenzi from the art department has agreed to help." At this time, the owner of the repair shop said, "Leave it with me. Come and get it after school." "Okay, I'll leave it to you," Keisuke Saito replied. The two of them walked up the hill. In front of and behind them, there was a crowd of students wearing the same uniform. In Toru Watanabe's eyes, these people all had the same face. The usual cheerful noise and the ringing of bicycle bells had become extremely ear-piercing. Toru Watanabe even wanted to yell at these people to shut up. But he didn't say anything. His expression was normal as he listened to Keisuke Saito brag about how difficult it was for him to invite Chenzi. He spent a lot of money to buy her shoujo manga serialized in Housewife's Life magazine and read it all. He also listened to Chenzi talk about her fanatical love for Kun Watanabe. "Is that so?" Toru Watanabe said. "Huh?" Keisuke Saito looked at him in confusion. "What? Are you really listening to me? Not interested? But I can understand. Boys rarely read shoujo manga." Keisuke Saito nodded in agreement. "That's right." He suddenly said excitedly, "Do you know who your love interest is in the manga?" "Not interested." "You're interested when I say it. It's Kiyono classmate." In the latest volume, Kujo classmate also appeared. She's the daughter of a rich family, and she wants to compete with Kiyono classmate for you. I completely brought the 3 of you into the manga. It's so funny, I'll lend it to you this Saturday. The two of them walked into the classroom. Toru Watanabe glanced around and saw that Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo had already arrived. He walked over and said good morning. Miki. He took out the portable pillow from his bag and hung it on the hook beside the desk. He turned around and said, "For you." Pillow? Miki Kujo glanced at it. It's comfortable, helps you sleep, and won't fall asleep. You won't feel numb when you sleep in the classroom. Other than you, has anyone else touched it? No. Miki Kujo took the pillow and patted it. It was so soft that she couldn't help but want to rest her head on it. What's the matter with you? She looked at the pillow and asked casually. What? You're crying. Toru Watanabe's pinky hung from the corner of his eyes. I'm a little sad to lose Kiyono classmate. Miki Kujo looked up and stared at him. I don't want to lie to you in the future, Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo patted the pillow. It's so. I'm barely satisfied. Watanabe classmate. Rin Kiyono looked at him from the hardcover book. If you want to lose me, at least wait until you have me. You won't have that chance. Kujio Miyoshi sneered as she turned her head. You have the ability to take it away, but I don't have the ability to take it back? You can never imagine how much Toru Watanabe loves me. Rin Kiyono also sneered. Take it back. I feel like I've always been by Miki's side, Toru Watanabe said. Did I say you could speak? Rin Kiyono glared at him with a threatening gaze. Toru Watanabe felt relieved after being reprimanded. No matter what, Rin Kiyono would always be his closest friend. No matter what happened, this relationship was the furthest they could go. Yes, I don't have any human rights. He smiled. Do you listen to her or me? Miki Kujo asked with her arms crossed. Toru Watanabe tilted his body and leaned his head over. He covered his mouth with his hand and quietly asked her, Can I tell you the truth? Speak. I hope the two of you will listen to me. Miki Kujo pressed a pillow against Toru Watanabe's face. Miki, I'll listen to you, Miki. Miki Kujo snorted and let him go. I'm not going to tell the truth. Toru Watanabe learned from his painful experience. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono said, Bangs. Oh, thank you. Toru Watanabe tidied up his bangs that were messed up by the pillow. Miki Kujo glanced at Rin Kiyono and said with a smile, You really don't plan on giving up? I won't allow you to run away after winning, or are you afraid? You've sacrificed so much, but you're still worried that I'll take it away? If I can win once, then I can win twice. Why would I be afraid of a loser like you? Aoya Chiki, who was pretending to read but was actually eavesdropping, buried her face in the title page of the book. Her body twitched as she tried to hold back her laughter. Loser. Rin Kiyono took a deep breath and turned around to look at Toru Watanabe. Give me your English book. What's wrong? Rin Kiyono didn't say anything, but she frowned beautifully. Toru Watanabe had no choice but to give her the book. Do you see it, Kujo-san? Rin Kiyono held the English book. Watanabe-san's favorite character, Yuri Yori. Miki Kujo asked Toru Watanabe, What's wrong with her? She's also a loser. Toru Watanabe answered in a low voice. Pfft. Aoya Chiki clutched her stomach and laughed so hard that tears almost came out of her eyes. You like loser? Miki Kujo asked. How is that possible? Toru Watanabe hurriedly said, I like Yuri Yori, but she just happens to be a loser. Similarly, no matter when, no matter what I do, Watanabe-san will like me. Rin Kiyono said with a smile as if she had already won. Why is it the same? Toru Watanabe couldn't help but ask. Miki Kujo glanced at Rin Kiyono and said to Toru Watanabe, Change it. Change what? You're not allowed to like this character anymore. Okay, starting tomorrow, I like Katu Megumi. It's also an anime character, not a real-life character. Miki Kujo pulled Toru Watanabe's ear. I told you to change it to like me. Don't you understand? Mickey, just say it. The context just now, no matter how I think about it, it's going to hurt. Change it. I'll change it. I like Mickey. Everyone, go back to your seats. Aona Koizumi walked in with a folder. Toru Watanabe was saved. Before Aona Koizumi opened her mouth, Aoi Ichiki said in a low voice, "Kuin Watanabe, thank you for your hard work." She couldn't help but laugh in her voice. Toru Watanabe wanted to tell her about my Asahi's style and how bad her spaghetti was, but in the end, he didn't. What he wanted was for the world to bow down in front of him, not to argue with a girl. Aona Koizumi stood on the podium. The anxiety that she hadn't felt in a long time came again. The podium made her want to escape even more than the first time she stood on it. In the southeast corner of the classroom, there were students who called her sister, her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's wife. Why did she have to torture her like this? Humph. Miki Kujo looked at her coldly. There was no trace of a smile on her face. Koizumi Aonai was even more ashamed. Her shame had reached the limit. "The class meeting begins," she said in a panic. There was nothing on the lesson plan, but she subconsciously stared at it. The 3 consecutive holidays are over. No matter what happened during the holidays, please calm down and focus on your studies again. Chapter 281. Go ahead and wear it. Miki Kujo smiled as she lay on the sofa. Rin Kiyono was fiddling with her SLR camera next to the wooden table. Strange, it's too strange, it doesn't make sense. Toru Watanabe repeatedly muttered. Watanabe-san, don't make me look down on you. Rin Kiyono pointed the camera at him and kept focusing. It's not scary to lose, just win next time. Of course I know that, but don't you think it's strange? You just read some light novels at the last minute, and your writing is more towards light literature. That library called Point Rising only publishes violent, vulgar, and erotic books, and my writing can't even get first place? Rin Kiyono put down the camera and sighed with a headache. Watanabe-san, you should seriously reflect on your self-confidence. Miki. Toru Watanabe turned to look at his girlfriend. You can understand, right? You know the market best, right? Yeah, I understand. So, wear it, Miki Kujo mercilessly interrupted her boyfriend, her slender fingers pointing at the maid uniform hanging on the hanger. You don't understand at all. Stop talking nonsense. Rin Kiyono had already finished adjusting the camera's parameters. She was obviously happy, but she pretended to be unhappy. Hurry up and wear it. One last question. Please tell me the answer so I can give up. Toru Watanabe raised his index finger. Tell me. Miki Kujo lifted her chin slightly. You too. Toru Watanabe looked back and forth between the two of them. Did you use any despicable methods of capitalists? The two of them were silent. Are you worthy of my trust? That's so hurtful. Toru Watanabe picked up his backpack. I'm going back first today, goodbye. Come back, Miki Kujo ordered. Toru Watanabe sat down again. I won't admit to this bet. It's useless to say anything. Student Watanabe, there was no rule against using other methods. Rin Kiyono did not feel the slightest bit guilty. Furthermore, after I bought half of the library, I told those people not to be biased towards anyone. They must ensure that the competition is fair. Are you saying that they will do as you say? You absolutely know what they will do. Toru Watanabe protested. And where will you get the money to buy it? I remember that you only have pocket money. It's just a library. Isn't the pocket money enough? Rin Kiyono smiled contemptuously at Bunko and Toru Watanabe. Watanabe, classmate, you can only blame yourself for not doing it. You can't blame the person who did it. Hurry up and wear it. Despicable. What did you say? I said, I've learned something new from you again, Sayakino-san. Remember to pay the school fees. I just happen to not have enough pocket money. Toru Watanabe finally understood that those who insisted on not lying were the real bad people. Ignoring the issue of school fees, he turned his attention to Miki Kujo. That bad woman bought half of the library, so the other half is in our hands? Wrong. Miki Kujo sat up. Wrong? Toru Watanabe was stunned. That's impossible. To be precise, she walked towards the clothes rack and took down the maid costume. It's in my hands. We're not married yet, my dear. Heartless woman, you're so clear about your assets. Good boy. Miki Kujo took the maid costume and walked towards Toru Watanabe. She smiled and said, "Put it on. I'll buy that library for you." No need to buy it. Rin Kiyono said generously, "As long as Watanabe-san puts it on, I'll give half of it to him. Oh, and remember to pay the school fees." What do I need the library for? Toru Watanabe couldn't forgive such cheating. Take it. Miki Kujo handed the maid costume to him. Toru Watanabe took it with a pained and regretful expression. I can wear it, but I'll only wear it for today. This game isn't fair at all. Okay. Miki Kujo smiled and nodded. She then turned to Rin Kiyono. Can I trouble you to leave, Kiyono-san? Reason. My boyfriend wants to change his clothes. It's not like I haven't seen it before. Why should I leave? You've seen it before? Miki Kujo and Toru Watanabe asked at the same time. One frowned, while the other was surprised. Dating will cause memory problems? Rin Kiyono looked at the two of them with contempt. She still thought that she was the smartest of the three. All three of them thought so. Toru Watanabe remembered. During the winter camping trip, Rin Kiyono had fainted in the hot spring. He only had a towel wrapped around his waist. This was probably the time when she saw him naked. I paid special attention to not look at her body, but she secretly looked at me. It's not fair. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. Seeing that he had a look of understanding, she signaled him with her eyes to say it. Toru Watanabe's clever brain worked. It seems to be last year at that time. It seems that you have the worst memory here, Kujo-san. Rin Kiyono said with a smile. Let me tell you. Last summer, when we went swimming in the pool, Watanabe-san only wore swimming trunks. To change into a maid uniform, he only needed to strip to that extent, right? So it wasn't a hot spring. Toru Watanabe's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't show it on his face. Not everyone is like you, Kiyono-san, thinking about other people's boyfriends' bodies. Miki Kujo sneered. Not everyone is as shallow as you, Kujo-san. I only want Watanabe-san to love my soul. Rin Kiyono declared with her clear voice. You don't deny thinking about other people's boyfriends. That's right, what can you do? What can I do? I won. You won, so you have to keep winning. I lost temporarily, so I can keep losing. Winning once is enough. Be careful, Kujo-san. I'm very careful, Kiyono-san, so I'll let you keep losing. Is that so? I look forward to your performance. The days seemed to have returned to the past, as if nothing had changed except for the empty vase on the windowsill. There were no roses. Stop arguing. Toru Watanabe opened his mouth. I almost forgot. Miki Kujo, who was looking at Rin Kiyono, turned her head to look at him. Why aren't you taking off your clothes, Watanabe-san? Rin Kiyono, who was looking at Miki Kujo, also turned her head to look at him. Toru Watanabe had taken off his clothes in front of Miki Kujo countless times, but this was the first time he did it in front of Rin Kiyono. He tried not to be embarrassed, and took off his tie with a natural expression, unbuttoning his shirt one by one. Collarbones, broad shoulders, abdominal muscles, and a slim waist. It was not an exaggeration to say that this scene in front of her was seductive. Miki Kujo put her hand on Toru Watanabe's chest and slowly slid it down, helping him unbuckle his belt with both hands. Toru Watanabe grabbed her hand. "There's still someone else. I'll do it myself." "Take it away," Miki Kujo ordered. When Toru Watanabe let go, she immediately smiled. His pants fell slightly, and when she saw Toru Watanabe's thighs, Rin Kiyono's heart suddenly jumped. Miki Kujo gently placed her hand on Toru Watanabe's crotch, and immediately there was a very obvious change. "Miki." Toru Watanabe was so scared that he almost put his pants back on. "Pervert," Rin Kiyono said coldly, and finally turned her back. After taking off his pants, Miki Kujo let Toru Watanabe put on the maid's uniform by himself. She hugged her elbows and said to Rin Kiyono's back, "Kiyono-san, you still don't know the other side of Toru, right?" She walked behind Rin Kiyono and whispered with her charming voice, "He's completely different from the clean, delicate, and elegant person you've always seen. In bed, he's full of energy, he doesn't know how to control himself, he likes all kinds of positions, and he likes to lick me. Miki." "Miki." Toru Watanabe stopped his lover. "Alala," Miki Kujo laughed and taunted. "Someone who doesn't care about his body, why are your ears red?" "Miki, come and help me," Toru Watanabe shouted. "This dress is too complicated, I don't know how to wear it." Miki Kujo blew on Rin Kiyono's red earlobe. Seeing Rin Kiyono uncontrollably shrink her shoulders, she happily turned around and walked towards Toru Watanabe. "Do you think I'm a maid? You even want me to help you put on your clothes." She helped Toru Watanabe pull up the zipper, and tidied up his shoulders and skirt. "Where else do you feel uncomfortable?" she asked. "I feel uncomfortable all over," Toru Watanabe replied. "If you don't feel well, then go pour some tea. By the way, remember the maid's behavior. With Aizu's experience, you should know what I'm talking about." "I don't remember that kind of experience." "Oh." Miki Kujo's hand lifted Toru Watanabe's chin. "Then I don't need to remember the promise of, I'll wear whatever you wear." "Your Highness Miki, what would you like to drink?" Toru Watanabe definitely couldn't lose out since he was already wearing it. Tonight, he had to pull an all-nighter. Rin Kiyono finally got rid of her shyness and calmed down. She turned around and looked at Toru Watanabe. "Watanabe-san, it's very cute and beautiful." She smiled and put her hand on her chin. "Kiyono-san, if you wear it, you'll definitely be prettier." "Perhaps, but I won't lose." Rin Kiyono was rarely modest. It was obvious that Toru Watanabe in the maid's uniform was very good-looking. "What do you mean you won't lose? You're just using despicable means. Is this the maid etiquette that Kujo-san mentioned?" Rin Kiyono asked doubtfully. "Your Highness, Kiyono-san." Rin Kiyono smiled faintly. She was already very happy. "Who told you to listen to her?" Miki Kujo's delicate face was gloomy. "Didn't I get first place in the essay competition, Kujo-san?" Rin Kiyono asked. Both of them got first place, so they split the 200,000 yen prize equally. It could be seen that the so-called essay competition was mostly shady. Rin Kiyono ignored Miki Kujo and said to Toru Watanabe with her SLR camera, "Watanabe-san, can I trouble you to carry the tea tray? I'm acting as a maid, not taking maid photos." "Hurry up. Miki. If it's photos, I can take them. I regretted not using a professional camera last time." "Miki-san. Watanabe-san." Rin Kiyono handed the tea tray to Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe trembled as he took it. Rin Kiyono looked at him with amusement. After enduring the difficult club time, the school bell rang, signaling the departure of the school. "Watanabe-san, I'll send the photos to the group tonight. Take good care of them." Rin Kiyono put the camera in her bag and prepared to leave. She didn't want to see Toru Watanabe change clothes anymore. She was looking forward to going back to enjoy the photos. "Say it clearly, which group?" Toru Watanabe hurriedly asked. If this was sent to Watanabe's family group, he would never be able to go back to Iwate Prefecture. Kujo, Kiyono, Watanabe. These were the 5 groups of Kujo's family, Kiyono's family, and Toru Watanabe's family. Can't the 3 of us create a separate, Human Observation Department group? Toru Watanabe said. No. Rin Kiyono opened the door and disappeared from the clubroom. Mickey, your mom will definitely make fun of me. Toru Watanabe walked to the door and was about to close it and change clothes. With you, they won't make fun of me and Kiyono anymore. Is this the real reason why you didn't stop her? Toru Watanabe walked to the door. At this moment, Keisuke Saito ran over. Watanabe, I'm here to get the script. I have to send it to Chiaki today. After she finishes reading it, she'll immediately start drawing. Pfft. Cough cough, what are you doing? Preparing for the Culture Festival. Culture Festival? It's only June. Do you think I only got first place in the country this semester? I've been studying hard since the day I was born. That's why I got first place in the country now, do you understand? Do you know what I'm talking about? Only with sufficient preparation and diligence can one do a good job. No, what I mean is, if you dare to tell anyone, I'll use my status as first place in the country to force the school to expel you. Toru Watanabe slammed the door shut after giving the failed light novel to Keisuke Saito. The next day, Miki Kujo didn't come to school. No matter how Toru Watanabe called her, she wouldn't get up. When Toru Watanabe walked into the classroom, Keisuke Saito immediately jumped over. Watanabe, you wrote so well. I only wanted to read a little bit last night and wait until the club time today, but I finished reading it all. Is that so? Toru Watanabe wouldn't care about a light novel that didn't win an award. I think that it can be animated. Osamu Kunai agreed. When you go to the recording studio as the original author, remember to bring me along. Right, remember to select the female lead's voice for Seo Hayami. I imagined her voice the entire time. It was awesome. You read it as well? Toru Watanabe asked. I met him after school yesterday. He asked me for it, so I made a copy for him, Keisuke Saito said. Is that all right? It's fine. Don't worry. There are some things that I'll say, and some things that I definitely won't say. What's the matter? Osamu Kunai asked curiously. Saito recommended a girl game to me, Toru Watanabe said casually. You're not going to share it with me? Osamu Kunai hugged Keisuke Saito's shoulder. To think that I shared the disc that I bought late at night with you. Idiot, don't say that in the classroom. Toru Watanabe left the 2 of them and walked back to his seat under the disdainful gazes of the girls in class. Without Miki Kujo, he tried his best not to talk to Rin Kiyono. After school, the 2 of them read in the club's classroom to pass the time. Come directly to my house after school tomorrow, Rin Kiyono said halfway through the class. Your house? Toru Watanabe raised his head. They want to celebrate our birthday. Rin Kiyono's gaze didn't leave the book in her hand. Yeah. Toru Watanabe continued to read Palpitating Heart. He bought the Japanese version at Kamabocho, and he also bought the English version when he was free. Compared to yesterday's noisy and peaceful atmosphere, today's club's classroom had a trace of uneasiness. This was the first time that the 2 of them were alone after returning from their family trip. What's on your mind? Rin Kiyono's voice was calm. Why do you say that? Toru Watanabe raised his head again. Tell me. She closed the book and elegantly crossed her arms, like a noble lady. Is this part of human observation? Sort of. Tell me. Toru Watanabe also closed the book and rubbed the cover with his fingers. You know, I've made up my mind to be with Miki and the others. But you can't forget me? Yes, I've obviously decided to be with them, but I can't forget you. Sometimes the happiness in front of them is just an act. Toru Watanabe's gaze fell on the cover of Palpitating Heart. A man and a woman were sitting on a branch of a fig tree that should have been sawed off, enjoying the wind and sunlight, as well as the scenery in the distance. I've clearly made up my mind, but when I'm alone, I question myself, if I can't pursue my love, why do I have to live like this? Why am I doing this? But I'm not willing to give up on them. It's called responsibility, but there's also love and greed. After a moment of silence, he continued, I feel that I'm a hypocrite, and I look down on myself. Toru Watanabe moved his gaze away from the book and looked out the window. The weather forecast said that Tokyo's annual plum rain would begin on June 8th. Why do you think so? Rin Kiyono asked. Without waiting for Toru Watanabe to reply, she continued, compared to them and me, who don't have any burdens, you're the one who has it the hardest. Tomorrow senpai can't leave you. Koizumi, sensei has worked hard for you for 10 years. Miki Kujo, someone like her would admit her mistakes for you and allow you to have lovers outside. You love them, cherish them, and are responsible for them. But you love me so much. You love me the most. Fate has made you choose between them and me. You're still strong, you're not decadent, you don't complain to anyone, you're still gentle, and you're still faithful to your promises. You keep your loneliness and sadness to yourself, and do your best to give them the only warmth you have. When they look at you, you hide your unwillingness, longing, and sadness, and they're the only ones in your eyes. When you work hard to let them be by your side, you only feel at ease. Compared to sweet words and honeyed words, your feelings and your efforts to make them happy are the real treasures that move them. So you don't have to look down on yourself at all. Compared to your hypocrisy, I think you're just not clear-headed or too stubborn. You don't need to be blamed for anything. Really? Toru Watanabe asked. At least it's true for me. For you. Because, Rin Kiyono's fair face turned slightly red, and she turned her gaze to the window. I like you, so I might be a little biased towards you. Toru Watanabe stared at her in a daze. Kiyono-san, if you continue to be so cute, I'll only feel more and more pain. Then just give up on them and be with me. Rin Kiyono retracted her gaze from the window and looked directly at Toru Watanabe. Aren't you watching Palpitating Heart? There's a line in it, something of us get dipped in flat, something inzotten, something loss. Beautivarian scene a while you find someone who's iridescent, and when you do, no one else leverages comparison. Some people are superficial, while others are golden on the outside but rotten on the inside. But sometimes, you'll meet someone who's as brilliant as a rainbow. From then on, everyone else is just a fleeting cloud. Toru Watanabe thought about the meaning of this sentence in English. If I do this, I'll be a complete scumbag, he said. No, you'll be clear-headed and know what you really want. And even if you're a scumbag, I won't despise you. I've always been a bad woman. Rin Kiyono said with a smile. I don't want to think about that now. I just want to think about how to reconcile you and Miki. Rin Kiyono picked up the book and started reading again. I'll wait for the day when you understand what you really want, or the day when you understand how much you can't leave me. Chapter 282. He thought that the conversation was over, but 10 minutes before school ended, there was a knock on the door. Thinking that it might be Keisuke Saito looking for him because of the game, Toru Watanabe got up and walked over. Out of consideration for Miki Kujo's misophobia, he tried not to let people into the private human observation department. Opening the sliding door, he saw a petite and cute short-haired high school girl standing at the door. Senpai, Watanabe, senpai. If you have any questions about the oboe, you can ask them later. Toru Watanabe made a gesture to close the door. At that moment, Masanori Horikita took advantage of her petite figure and slipped into the human observation department. Toru Watanabe could reach out and stop her, but he hesitated between touching the girl's body and letting a girl into the human observation department, and he chose the latter. Kiyono, senpai, good afternoon. Masanori Horikita greeted her while curiously looking at the club classroom. Bookshelves, fridge, TV, game consoles, sofa, and hangers for maid uniforms. These things were too much for her to take in. "Good afternoon." Rin Kiyono responded indifferently, putting on a "don't talk to me" posture. Toru Watanabe closed the door and gave Masanori Horikita a chair that Aoi Ichiki used to sit in. "Thank you, senpai." "What's the matter?" Toru Watanabe sat down in his seat and opened Palpitating Heart. "Senpai." Masanori Horikita put her hand on the cover of Palpitating Heart. "Go on a date with me after school." "Sorry, I'm not interested in girls younger than me." Toru Watanabe took out the book and added, "except for my Ko-san." "Then what about Kiyono, senpai? By the way, she has the same birthday as you, so she's not younger than senpai." "Horikita-san, there's one more thing I want to remind you." Rin Kiyono looked at the book in her hand and said, "He likes me more than his Ko-san." Toru Watanabe turned to look at her. "What nonsense are you talking about? Did I say anything wrong?" Rin Kiyono tilted her head and asked. "You're right, but that's only temporary. Soon, I'll love Kei even more." Rin Kiyono lost interest. She looked back at the book and said, "It's impossible. You can't do it. Give up." Not arguing with her, Toru Watanabe looked at the curious Masanori Horikita. "It's over, you can go back." "Senior, why are you so cold? I'm afraid you'll fall in love with me." "Because of this?" Masanori Horikita said in surprise. "But I've already fallen in love with senpai." "Then give up while it's still early." "Alright, from today onwards, I won't guide you anymore." "How annoying." "I was just joking." "Senior, you're too heartless." Masanori Horikita pouted. "Kiyono-senpai, let's go on a date after school." "I've given up on senpai. I'm not free." Rin Kiyono refused without thinking. Masanori Horikita wailed dejectedly. "Kiyono-senpai is as heartless as I thought." After that, she immediately covered her mouth and looked at Rin Kiyono in fear. "Senpai, Watanabe-senpai," she lowered her petite body and whispered, "Kiyono-senpai won't be angry, right? You can rest assured about this." "She's never angry." Toru Watanabe's tone was full of confidence. "Is that so? That's great." Masanori Horikita patted her small chest. "Phew, I was scared to death. I almost thought senpai would hate me. Although she's not angry, she'll be awkward. Once she's awkward." "Is it scary?" Masanori Horikita stared at Toru Watanabe with round eyes like a small animal. "Scary? She's always been scary. It has nothing to do with her being awkward." Masanori Horikita nodded in agreement, then quickly shook her head. She skipped this topic, which was already scary in itself, and asked, "What happens when senpai is awkward?" "How should I put it? Toru Watanabe tapped his fingers on Palpitating Heart. "Cute, very cute, super cute. I just want to make her angry and make her awkward all the time." The junior raised her hand. "Senpai, I've always had a question. Are you a masochist?" "Yes." Toru Watanabe, who was just about to answer, turned his head to look at Rin Kiyono, who was reading. After warning her, he retracted his gaze and said to Masanori Horikita, "It's not a matter of being a masochist. For the people you like and the people who like you, it's necessary to change yourself." "Senpai." Masanori Horikita's eyes widened in admiration. "You must have experienced a lot of battles. You're so good at finding excuses." Toru Watanabe turned his head to Rin Kiyono and said, "Can this child talk?" "Watanabe-san," Rin Kiyono said, "if you want to become great, you must get used to and take the initiative to listen to the truth that you don't like. You really don't know how to talk. I'm talking about the two of you." He, Masanori Horikita let out a unique snicker. "I'm not praising you." "I know, but being able to be scolded together with Kiyono senpai means that I'm close to senpai. School is about to end. If there's nothing else, hurry up and go back." Toru Watanabe began to chase them away. Actually, I invited Senpai on a date because I wanted to buy you a birthday present. I also wanted to ask Senpai for advice on what Kiyono, Senpai likes. Birthday present? Yes. Masanori Horikita put her hands between her pleated skirt and the chair. Everyone, including me, knows nothing about Kiyono, Senpai's preferences. Only Watanabe, Senpai can get some information from her. The others can't do it at all. It's difficult to even talk to her. I see. Toru Watanabe nodded. I can help you, but no need. Rin Kiyono suddenly spoke up. I won't accept your gifts. But everyone is preparing to give you a gift, and some of you have already bought one. Then please tell them that I don't need it, Rin Kiyono replied indifferently. Masanori Horikita secretly tugged at Toru Watanabe's sleeve. Senpai, please persuade her. She'll go from being popular to being hated. By the way, I won't accept it either. Toru Watanabe pulled back his sleeve. I don't know if anyone has given me a gift. If there is, please help me tell them. Hey, why? Senpai, didn't you receive chocolate on Valentine's Day? How do you know? Valentine's Day was in February. At that time, Toru Watanabe was still in high school. Everyone knows about Senpai's matter. By the way, Senpai, it is said that you spent hundreds of thousands of yen on the white plot gift. Is that true? Masanori Horikita asked curiously. It's true, Toru Watanabe said. So I don't accept gifts. The cost of returning gifts is too high. Do you understand? So that's the case. I thought Senpai was worried that Kiyono would be isolated and hated, so you don't accept gifts to share the pressure for Kiyono. She's hated and isolated. It has nothing to do with me. I only care about my own money, Toru Watanabe said. Well, what about me? Senpai can accept my gift, right? Senpai has been teaching me the oboe. Masanori Horikita blinked pitifully. I treat everyone equally. I won't accept. At this time, the bell rang. Masanori Horikita had to give up acting coquettishly and ran back to the playing club to pass the message to the club members who were going to buy gifts. You don't have to do this. Rin Kiyono closed her book and put it in her bag. It's not all for you. Toru Watanabe did the same. I know my charm. Sometimes just a casual smile can make people misunderstand. So, it's better to be unpopular like you. Unpopular? Rin Kiyono put her bag over her shoulder. As long as you understand what I want to express, it doesn't matter how I phrased it. Coward. She walked out of the club classroom. Coward. Toru Watanabe followed behind. You don't dare to scold me directly. You just want to take the opportunity to tease me. If you're not a coward, then what are you? The door is locked. Toru Watanabe took the key and locked the door. I said it was just a careless choice of words. And I swore that I won't curse or swear in my life. Oh, the oath of Tokyo Handsome. If you look down on Tokyo Handsome again, I'll really scold you. After locking the door, Rin Kiyono opened her white palm, and Toru Watanabe put the key on it. The two walked towards the stairs. In June, the sun was no longer setting outside the window, and the sky was still bright. Scold me? I'm a bit curious. Tokyo Handsome is a coward. Okay, scold me. You want me to scold you? Who are you to me? Sure enough, you're a coward. You're cute, smart, honest, beautiful hair, beautiful voice, beautiful legs, thin waist, and good at understanding me. You're a woman with nothing good. Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chin and said with a smile, You said so much, why don't you just say, I love you? I'm scolding you, Kiyono-san, and friends don't say that word. If you insist, then it's just scolding friends. Rin Kiyono put down her hand indifferently. It's just scolding friends. The two walked out of the school building and came to the road leading to the oak tree and the school gate. On the right side was the dusty baseball field. Toru Watanabe saw Osamu Kanai and a group of people standing in a row facing the setting sun. When the coach whistled, they waved their bats vigorously. "Fortunately, I'm just a figurehead," Toru Watanabe said. "If you really plan to go into politics in the future, learn about baseball and accumulate a reputation in Koshien. Maybe you'll be able to provide a little help in unexpected places." "Good idea. This year's Xia League champion will be me. Work hard starting tomorrow." "Lies. But I can't play easily. I have to wait for them to fall into a tough battle. For example, when the team is about to be eliminated early in the 8th inning, I'll be the 4th batter, take the bat, and hit a home run to turn the tide. Or as a pitcher, I'll pitch the whole season until they win the championship." "I don't know about Koshien. Tell me more." "I don't know either." Toru Watanabe said, "This is the scene that Guy Koi dreams of all day. I'm just repeating his words." "So it's a dream." Rin Kiyono nodded. "Of course. How can there be such a hot-blooded story of personal heroism in reality?" "If it's you, I'll believe it." Rin Kiyono said, "Although I'm not interested in sports, I'm suddenly looking forward to that scene. I want to see you turn the tide." "Take it back." "You're a divine girl. If you say it, it'll definitely happen. I don't want to be popular anymore. I'm looking forward to it." When they arrived at Shifuya Station, the two separated. Toru Watanabe didn't take the Chua line to the end of Shinano-cho. Instead, he went out of the platform and took a taxi to Takashita Pass. Takashita Pass is a shopping street. If you can't find the right item, you can go to the adjacent Omotesento, which is where Rin Kiyono often goes shopping. He was preparing a birthday gift for Rin Kiyono tomorrow. He thought about giving her the lucky pendant, but he always had a feeling that once he gave it away, his firm determination would collapse. At dusk, Takashita Pass was crowded. The oncoming Tokyo girls had already put on light skirts, sexy, fashionable, or long skirts, or short skirts that couldn't be any shorter. There were 3 idols who were shooting a program. Someone was holding a camera and pointing it at them. Their expressions were exaggeratedly saying, "delicious," and "super delicious." In their mouths, he didn't know what it was, like fried skewers or sugar-coated haws. When Toru Watanabe walked into the hat shop next to them, the idol girl on the far left looked at him several times. Reminded by the other two that it was a live broadcast, she paid attention to her line of sight. Coming out of the hat shop with nothing, he turned into a jewelry shop. One by one, the sky turned dark, and Takashita Pass turned on the streetlights. He gave up. Naturally, there were a lot of good-looking clothes, but the price was too cheap. Although Rin Kiyono doesn't care about money, it's because she's rich. Anyway, it's not appropriate to give her these cheap things. This wasn't some pretentious TV drama, so Miss Sano Rin wouldn't feel happy just because he treated her to some roadside udon noodles. He had already done that in Nagoya, so Miss Sano Rin didn't feel anything about it. He didn't go to Omotesento Pass, and simply went directly to Ginza. Considering her lovely long hair, Toru Watanabe saw a blue hairband in a high-end hair jewelry shop. On the white price tag, in black font, it said, 150,000 yuan. The price is very cheap, but considering that it's just a hairband, it's barely acceptable to give to Rin Kiyono. "Please wrap it up for me," Toru Watanabe said to the shop assistant. "It's a birthday gift for someone." "Okay, please come with me." 3 minutes later, he walked out of the shop with the packed hairband. Thinking that it's not easy to come here, he went to the fruit shop to buy some high-end fruits for Asahi and Aona Koizumi. When he went downstairs, he saw a familiar figure. It's Rin Kiyono. She didn't go home, still wearing her school uniform, and went straight into a men's jewelry shop. Toru Watanabe quietly followed her. When he peeped from the outside, he saw Rin Kiyono standing in front of the cufflinks cabinet, with her hand on her chin, and the shop assistant introduced something to her. After a while, Rin Kiyono stretched out her slender white finger and pointed to one of the cufflinks in the glass cabinet. The shop assistant gave it to her. She looked at it, compared it with the Kamigawa school uniform jacket, shook her head, and asked the shop assistant to give her another one. The people around already noticed his peeping, so Toru Watanabe had to leave. Cufflinks, I don't wear a jacket in summer, why don't I buy something that can be used in all seasons? Birthday gift I win. Chapter 283. After leaving Ginza, Toru Watanabe found a high-end fruit shop. He bought a box of Soto brocade cherries. There were 6 cherries in a box. It was exactly 1,000 yen without tax. He bought 4 boxes. 3 for his sensei and 1 for his sensei. Mangoes from Miyazaki Prefecture. 1 was 4,000 yen without tax. 2 were 7,500 yen. He bought 4. 3 for his sensei and 1 for his sensei. Grapes from Okayama Prefecture. 1 bunch was 8,000 yen. He bought 3 bunches. 2 for his sensei and 1 for his sensei. After some selection, he bought 2 honeydew melons from Shizuoka Prefecture. 1 for each side. Carrying a bunch of things, Toru Watanabe took up too much space on the tram. He was worried that he would affect others, so he took an expensive taxi from Tokyo again. When he returned to Shinano, he went straight to room 501. Why are you back so late? Aona Koizumi, who opened the door to greet him, grumbled as she took the things from his hands. After buying the gifts, I went to buy some fruits. He told Koizumi Aonai about the gift in advance online. What fruits? I told you that I'd wait for you to come back for dinner. After dinner. I'll eat everything for dinner. Toru Watanabe took off his shoes and was about to change into indoor shoes when he remembered something. By the way, split all the fruits into 2 portions. The missing portion is for Mai. Okay, I'll put hers on the cabinet at the entrance. Remember to take it when you leave. Okay. Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe, who was changing his shoes. She hesitated for a moment before saying, Watanabe, invite my Asahi to dinner. Toru Watanabe looked up. Can I? Okay. Aona Koizumi responded softly. When you accompany her, I have Hanko and Miyuki. But if you accompany me, she'll be alone. Toru Watanabe thought for a moment. Forget it. My Asahi used to be Kamigawa's student, while Aona Koizumi was Kamigawa's teacher. It was inevitable that it would be awkward. My Asahi was cold and indifferent, but Aona Koizumi was shy to begin with. It's all right. Aona Koizumi revealed a gentle smile. I've never taught Osaka before. I haven't even spoken to him in school. Moreover, I've been trying to relax myself recently, so I'm slowly getting used to it. Enlighten? How? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. Aona Koizumi was a little shy. She tucked her hair behind her ears and exuded the gentle aura of a 25-year-old woman, which tugged at Toru Watanabe's heartstrings. The 2 of us are together, not a teacher and student. Deceive myself. Toru Watanabe laughed. No. Aona Koizumi retorted like a little girl. Then she continued to explain. I came to Kamigawa to be a teacher because I fell in love with you when I was 16. The only difference between me and Kujo and Osaka is that I'm older. Our identities are the same. That's true. Unfortunately, Toru Watanabe said regretfully. I quite like the identity of a teacher. Aona Koizumi stretched out her hand and flicked Toru Watanabe's forehead. Then she carried the fruits and Toru Watanabe's bag into the living room. Go and call Osaka. I'll heat up the dishes. Teacher. Yes. Aona Koizumi turned around. Thank you. Aona Koizumi smiled. Watanabe, didn't you say that there's no need to apologize between us? Everything is because of love. Stop being so disgusting. I'm starving. Huang Zi's dissatisfied voice came from the living room. Toru Watanabe and Aona Koizumi looked at each other and smiled at the same time. Coming. Aona Koizumi walked into the living room. What's this? Fruits? Hurry up and take some to fill your stomach. Cherries are delicious, So expensive. Toru Watanabe changed back into his shoes as Huang Zi exclaimed in surprise. When he went out, he turned back to take the fruit for Honori. After he left, Aona Koizumi said to Huang Zi and Miyuki Miyazaki, "I asked Watanabe to call my Asahi." My Asahi? Huang Zi was about to put on her slippers and wash the cherries. She didn't eavesdrop on the conversation. Why did you call her over? After listening to what Watanabe said about her, don't you feel that she's very pitiful? Aona Koizumi couldn't bear to say it. Yes, she's pitiful. She's cut off all ties with her family. Huang Zi nodded. But lovers sympathize with lovers. I heard that it's the first time they've met. Aonai is very satisfied with her current situation. That's why she sympathizes with others. Miyuki Miyazaki said. If she still wants to be the main wife, it's good enough that they don't fight. Aona Koizumi was embarrassed by their words, but she was indeed very satisfied with her current life. Her job was stable and smooth. She didn't have to be separated from her best friends and could always live together. When she was tired of them, she would be with the person she liked. When she was tired of the person she liked, she would be with her best friends. As for money, after completing her monthly savings plan, she still had enough money to go on a short trip, although she couldn't stay in a good place or eat high-end food. Besides, Toru Watanabe also showed her the balance of her savings. She wouldn't use his money, but he had money, which made her feel much more at ease. Aona Koizumi was thoroughly enjoying her life now. She was only waiting for Toru Watanabe to graduate and consider having a child. With 3 people to take care of, being a mother would be easy. Every day was blissful. She hummed a song, reheated the dishes, and took the initiative to help Huang Zi wash the cherries. Toru Watanabe brought my Asahi into room 501. My Asahi accepted his invitation without hesitation or hesitation. When the 5 of them sat down at the dining table, everyone except her felt a little awkward. Aona Koizumi looked at my Asahi seriously for the first time. She had a delicate face and beautiful black hair. Her figure wasn't voluptuous, but rather slender. Those clear eyes of hers were mostly focused on Toru Watanabe. Can I call you that? Aona Koizumi asked. Thank you. My Asahi nodded lightly. She wasn't thanking him for calling her, but for inviting her to spend more time with Watanabe. Aona Koizumi inexplicably immediately understood the meaning of her thanks. She smiled. You can call me Aonai, or Sister Aonai. Come for dinner every day from now on. After saying that, she was worried that the other party would reject her, so she added, this way, the 2 of us can eat with Watanabe every day. Okay. My Asahi nodded. I'll cook too. I really can't stand you guys. What's so good about Watanabe? Huang Zi couldn't stand it anymore and said, "Oh right, remember to pay for our meals. We'll all be flat, and so will Watanabe." Huang Zi hesitated slightly. Just call me Huang Zi from now on. You still have to call me teacher. Do you hear me? Huang Zi turned and glared at Toru Watanabe. Yes, teacher Huang Zi. Likewise, just call me Miyuki. Miyuki said. Miyuki, we can't let Watanabe continue to push his luck. He's already taken our Aonai. Aonai is mine. Toru Watanabe felt that this matter had to be made clear. What did you say? Huang Zi stood up with one foot on the stool. Aonai is mine. Toru Watanabe repeated. Huang Zi grabbed her chopsticks and was about to duel with him. Aona Koizumi quickly grabbed her hand. Don't quarrel at the table. Eat properly. Aonai, tell me, who do you belong to? Huang Zi was unconvinced. Of course. Aona Koizumi fell into the Azura arena. Tell me, do you want him, or do you want us? Huang Zi pressed. Miyuki reached out with her chopsticks and picked up the fried prawns from Huang Zi's plate. She ate slowly. Mayasahi picked up her own fried prawns and asked Toru Watanabe if he wanted some. Toru Watanabe told her to eat it herself. After eating and washing the dishes, the five of them sat in the living room and ate fruits while watching TV. Here. Aona Koizumi passed the first slice of cantaloupe to Mayasahi. Thank you, Toru. Mayasahi passed it to Toru Watanabe. You eat. Toru Watanabe said softly. Linen Asami gently lifted her hair, and her thin and soft lips were attached to the flesh of the hami melon. After dividing the cantaloupe, Miyuki said, Young man. Yes. Teacher Miyuki? Tomorrow is your birthday. Yes. Do you want to give me a birthday present? June 9th is Aonai's birthday. I've already prepared the present. Take it out. Huangzi said. Huangzi. Aona Koizumi shouted. Aonai, don't worry about me. You're too gentle. I'll help you supervise this boy. I definitely can't let him love you less and fool you. I welcome your supervision. Toru Watanabe said sincerely. See, even he said so himself. Huangzi boasted to Aona Koizumi. Aona Koizumi sighed, then smiled helplessly and happily. Toru Watanabe finished the cantaloupe in 2 or 3 bites, threw away the peel, wiped his hands with a towel, and walked towards his backpack. He gave Miki Kujo a ring, Mayasahi a pendant, and Aona Koizumi a pair of earrings. It was a pair of intricately patterned green beads. They were very small and looked like jade. Teacher Aonai, happy birthday in advance. Toru Watanabe handed it over with a smile. You actually prepared it. At least you have a conscience. Huangzi didn't mind that the earrings didn't have a packaging, and nodded approvingly. Aona Koizumi took the earrings, placed them in her palm, and said happily, Thank you. You have to carry it with you. It's 7 million yen. Toru Watanabe said. 1 point was 100 yen, 1,000 points was 100,000 yen, and before the points were compared, it probably needed to be multiplied by 10 or 100. But that wasn't important. The reason why it was 7 million yen was because it was a lucky pendant for Aona Koizumi to carry with her at all times. 7 million. The 3 teachers looked at him dumbfoundedly. Young man, did you spend Kujo's money? Miyazaki Miyuki asked. Actually, my mother is a young miss from a wealthy family. My family is quite rich. Toru Watanabe casually found an excuse and said to Aona Koizumi, You have to wear it. Aona Koizumi hesitated. Yes, I will always wear it. Alright, Watanabe, I also have a birthday present for you. Don't be in a hurry. Teacher, you can wear it for me to see. Toru Watanabe's voice carried a smile. Aona Koizumi had pierced ears, and would occasionally wear small and fresh earrings. Toru Watanabe had seen them before. When she wore the birthday present, the emerald beads were well hidden in her long hair. But as long as one paid attention to it, they would be fascinated by the white side of her face, and would subconsciously think, so beautiful. How is it? Aona Koizumi asked everyone, but her eyes were focused on Toru Watanabe's expression. Quickly let me kiss your ear. Toru Watanabe joked. Aona Koizumi was happy and shy. Mai is still here. It's okay. Mayasahi said calmly, After Toru kisses you, I will let him kiss me. Because she was too calm, Aona Koizumi couldn't tell whether she was provoking her or not. 7 million yuan earrings are so beautiful. Guangzi said enviously. Then, she still asked Toru Watanabe in disbelief, Is this really worth 7 million yuan? When it's your birthday, I will give you a 5 million yuan watch. Thank you for taking care of Aonai-sensei. Miyuki-sensei as well. No, don't give it to me. I believe you. Don't use money to bribe me. I will always be on Aonai's side. I will always pick on you. With a friend like you, Guangzi-sensei, I can rest assured about Koizumi-sensei's safety. Toru Watanabe said. But, Guangzi lowered her voice jokingly, you can buy this apartment for Aonai. I don't have any objections. Guangzi. Aona Koizumi shouted shyly. I agree. Miyazaki Miyuki nodded and said, she is willing to be with you. Watanabe-san, you should at least give her a sense of security. Miyuki. Watanabe, don't take it to heart. They are just talking nonsense. Sensei, I will only be happy that you have such a friend. Toru Watanabe said with a smile, tomorrow after school, Miki and the others are going to celebrate my birthday. How about we go by it on Saturday? Guangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki froze, then came back to their senses. They kept telling themselves that, Toru Watanabe is my good friend's boyfriend. The two gradually began to get rid of the smile's influence. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi seemed to be acting coquettishly. She grabbed Toru Watanabe's hand, a little happy and a little angry. Don't listen to them. Also, I will go to the hot sea with them on Saturday and Sunday. You're not kissing? Mayasahi asked. Ah. Aona Koizumi was shocked. She quickly let go of his hand and stood up in a panic. I will go get my birthday present. Mayasahi's expressionless face showed a faint trace of regret. Toru Watanabe didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He patted her hand. Don't scare Koizumi, sensei. She is shy. Mayasahi's face was still expressionless, but she tilted her head slightly to express her doubts. Haven't Toru and Aonai done it before? Aona Koizumi ran faster. Young man, Miyazaki Miyuki asked, how many people have you done it with? Do I have to answer this kind of question? Toru Watanabe asked in surprise. Just treat it as a premarital checkup, Miyazaki Miyuki said with a straight face. The school doctor did premarital checkup for the students? To Miki and my sensei. He answered honestly. Okay. Miyazaki Miyuki nodded. That's okay. It seemed that he passed the premarital checkup. I thought you were a pervert. I didn't expect you to have such integrity. It's just that. No, I was almost brainwashed by you. Huangzi patted his head. You are a scumbag who has a wife and 2 lovers. That's right, I am a scumbag. Toru Watanabe nodded in agreement. Actually, it's okay. At least you are willing to take responsibility. You are not a scumbag. Huangzi comforted him embarrassedly. Then he asked curiously, you have not done it with Rin Kiyono? Toru Watanabe said helplessly, Huangzi, sensei, I told you before. She and I are only friends. It was a misunderstanding when I said that she was my lover. You can resist when she is so beautiful? Huangzi asked in disbelief. You and Miyuki, sensei are not bad either. I have no feelings for you at all. You bastard, are you looking for death? Young man, you can tease Huangzi, but why do you have to drag me into it? Aona Koizumi appeared just in time to stop a teacher-student fight that almost happened in the living room. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.